you getting yourself ready for our show?
Everybody, it's Jigs and friggin' Bigs. We got ourselves one hell of a show this week for you. You guys are not going to want to miss out. It's a good one. We're minus Joe Brown, but you're going to hear him later in this show because I brought him in on the interview this week. We got Josh Cotier on the show. He is the Angler of the Year for that All-American League that Joe is a member of, and we dive deep into some of Josh's background with fishing, all that stuff like we normally do, and I think that Joe may have made a friend for life after this interview. It's pretty interesting. We have all kinds of great stuff to talk about this week. Shawn has had a crazy week, absolutely slaying it, and he's caught some absolute giants this week. He's going to share those details with us. Your boy has been busier than hell. I'm going to dive into my one real success this week, but I got away this week with my dog, and we went camping with Becca up in the upstate New York area. Great weekend. There's a lot of food we're going to talk about. There was some fishing that we're going to review as well. All kinds of great stuff. We also have some winners from our September tournament series, our multi-species scavenger hunt. Winners to announce for that, but also raffle winners. Those are the winners I'm really speaking about. We got great prizes to give away. You're not going to want to miss it, guys. Much more amazing show coming up in a short bit. Go get yourself something delicious to enjoy. I know we're here early in the morning recording this, drinking some coffee. We'll see you guys in a bit. Don't go too far. Much more Jigs and Bigs coming up after this. Oh, yeah, baby. Here we are. What an amazing stretch of shows. An amazing stretch of shows. Shawn, how are you today?
I just timed it perfectly to be super professional, and I finished chewing on a mouthful of homemade macaroni and cheese.
That's perfect.
It's breakfast. I mean, what are you going to do?
Breakfast. That's all you need in life.
You got leftover macaroni and cheese. That is, in fact, your Brookfist.
Fair.
Good stuff.
Fair. Very nice.
Very fair.
We're going to be talking pasta a little bit later. My weekend involved quite a bit of good eats, and it was just kind of a crazy ass week. You had, I feel, much more excitement in the fishing world right here, but I'm going to go ahead and start just because we'll get this stuff kind of out of it, and we'll dive in. So. Last week's fishing, I'll tell you what, the last Sunday evening when we recorded the show was an evening of a million ideas and possibilities. I took a good look at the calendar and the weather forecast and saw a string of days where I had all the availability, all of this other stuff. And I'll tell you, we've hit a point in the year, and this upsets me. This is the point in the year where it gets a little bit cooler. It's darker in the morning, and I'm a little less motivated to get out and jump in the kayak right away. If I can find a couple of other things to do, I will get them done, before putting that priority out there. Now, I did have a little bit of a mission on Monday. So Monday morning, Shawn and I had a conversation about, we were both actually, I was searching for a myriad of different species for the September showdown. And my options were way up in the air. Basically, I was only limiting myself to fishing waters that at least had trout in them. So, because there were one of them that I needed. So I was missing a whole bunch of stuff. Shawn had a much more streamlined list, but we both met on one specific species that we needed, and that species was crappie. So Shawn had used his info about, where he's had the most success with crappie. All of my records, I don't catch crappie often enough to really have enough of a pattern to be helpful, other than going like, I know I've caught crappie here, I'm going to return back here. There's just hasn't been enough catches and enough bodies of water to kind of nail it. So we go to this one body of water, which, after talking with some of our, mutual friends in the angling community, there's folks around here that it's a beloved body of water. It's often neglected, I think. And so we go and we hit this one spot, and I go out there. I'm armed with a presentation that just was killing it the week before, especially on Friday, just killing it. And what this was just a small, tiny 2-inch paddle tail swim bait from Guggen. They make a crappie line of baits, and they call it the Snacky Swimmer. And this pairs so good on an 1/8 ounce jig head that I put on like a beetle spin. So think of it as like an overspin in a way. It's kind of like, it's got this little blade with a little bit of flash and just this tiny, tiny swim bait presentation. And it was just getting hammered. Absolutely hammered. Once I found the bluegill, I was in it. It was ridiculous. Almost like every other cast. It was crazy. So this was the pattern that has been all summer. Well, not all summer, all September. It's just been bluegill after bluegill after bluegill. In fact, I kind of thought that's what I was going to get on this weekend while I was in upstate New York, and that didn't play out at all. But we'll get to that in a moment. So Shawn and we convene in I think this is the south end of this pond. We kind of cross paths. He had sort of gone to a couple of different spots, and I left the ramp and I just followed the bank line, and I worked my way all the way down. We ended up in the same neck of the woods, and I had been catching just bluegill after bluegill, dink bass after dink bass, and none of these fish can do anything for me. And as he headed back up to the north end, I landed a crappie. I landed a butte. And the relief that came over my face, because I was out there and it was dumping rain that day. It was pouring. And I was at the point where my water-resistant clothing had said enough. And with the wind blowing around, I was starting to get pretty cold. And I was like, all right, I got my point. I'm getting off the water. I'm going to go to Cumbies and refresh my coffee and just drink a hot cup of coffee. I know we only had like about an hour left. And I'm like, I'm gonna go call it, get the boat loaded up, all that stuff, grab something and warm up a little bit, dry off. So I go and do that. Man, I was so glad I got that crappie. And I sent a text to Shawn with this fish, and the response back I got was whore, which was fucking perfect. That's what you get. It was fucking perfect. But I ultimately had the last laugh because on Friday while I was at trivia, Shawn was at the game, and mid-game I changed his team picture to that selfie of me with the crappie. And I think it took a round for it to click, and you were like, oh, yeah, you fucker.
Well, you know what? I stopped looking because on occasion, like I do set my little picture thing when we get going. My picture wasn't coming up for the first few questions that I got right. And I'm like, okay, something must be wrong tonight. And I just left it alone, didn't pay attention. Yeah, I saw it eventually. It
was fucking good. So Monday it was cold, it was raining. The rest of the week was fucking beautiful. Like I should have been out. And I think what was it? Was it Tuesday? I mean, I just had, like I said, like I had work stuff. Like I had to make a call with for an event that I have coming up this week here. So I was like, yeah, I could do that on the kayak. You know what I mean? It's just like this is the time of year where I got to really be like, yep, this is what we're going. And it's part of the reason why in the fall especially, I like to like oftentimes what I'll do is I'll try to do like a huge send on the weekend. And if it's really cold, it'll be a bank send. But then during the week, what I'll do is I'll try to fit in some bank sends here and there. Did I get out midweek? And oh no, that's right. I did get out. On Wednesday. I had some errands to run, and I hadn't caught a fish yet on my my new rod. I don't know if did I talk about this on the show. I don't know if I talked about this is on the show. Well, if I did, you're going to hear it again. So my daughter, my oldest daughter, comes up to me. This is right around my birthday, and she's like, "Dad," she goes, "I'm trying to figure out what I should get you as a gift, and honestly, I keep settling on a Bass Pro gift card." And I was like, "Well, you keep settling on the right thing." She goes, "Well, is there anything like specific I can get?" I was like, "You know what?" I go, "There's so much." I'm like, "There's so much. I could send you in a direction, but I think it would drive you insane." So she's like, "I'm just going to do that." So she got me a $50 Bass Pro gift card, and thank you, Chloe. It went to a good cause. So I had been doing some shopping online, and recently I had broken a guide off of my my jig rod. This is sort of like my workhorse rod. It's my 7-foot medium heavy, and this is where I had it was a swim jig that had caught up on a log. And in the process of trying to free that, I happened to just break off a guide. And I'm going to repair it. It's worth repairing, But in the meantime, like that was having some adverse effects on my line. And I put a little piece of tape around it to kind of provide the sharp, edges that were sticking out to avoid, destroying my line. And I used it for the time being. And I'm like, I'm going to replace this. But I've been wanting to go with a longer sort of workhorse like jig and worm rod. So that 7.1 to 7.3. 7.3 is about probably where I would top out on that one. And I was like, I just want to see what the options are there. And I was like, well, I got this gift card. I was like, maybe I can parlay this into replacing that rod and just pay off the difference. Well, I had, I don't love the selection of stuff sometimes at Bass Pro. Sometimes their brand is like the best that you can get for the value for the dollar, because their stuff's pretty great. You know what I mean? It really is. So I was looking at all that, and I'm like, just not seeing anything. And something caught my eye, and it reminded me of an episode of Tackle Talk that I had heard. It was the iCast one. And one of the things that Andrew Hayes had talked about was that St. Croix is updating, I think, the Bass Mojo and Bass X lines of their rods. So what happens when that occurs? Lots of times these companies, what they'll do is they'll run a clearance on the older models so that there's real estate to put the new models in when they are available. So they just basically want to move them along, really. So I said, oh, that's right. Well, they were like 20 or 30% off. It was a good deal. I was just like, shit, okay. It's like $150 retail rod. It was a Bass X 7.1 medium heavy fast. And I'm like, all right, sweet. Yeah, I'll pay the difference on that. It was on sale. It was basically on sale for like $99. And I throw that in my cart, apply the gift card, and then I get a notification that says, Mr. Roast Beef, your Bass Pro credit card is not linked to your account. If you'd like to use any points, you need to link it. And so I do that, and holy shit, I had plenty of points to cover the rest of that rod. So that's a win for me. But I had gone out, I think it was actually Thursday that I had gone out, and I said, I hadn't caught a fish on this rod yet. I'm going to stop off at one of my spots by the bank after I'm done running errands, in between everything, and just see if I can't, hook into a little something and see what we got. And I did. I went over to one of my bank spots I like to fish, hooked into a little nibbler largemouth, just absolutely hammered a jig. And I was like, sweet. So, fished for a little bit over there. I got a phone call from my dad that day. Now, last week's episode, I had talked about how he and I were planning on hitting the famous Quabbin Reservoir. Now, Quabbin is like a veritable playground for multi-species. It really is. For something like we're doing, it's worth taking the day and dropping the $60 or whatever to rent a boat and cover as much area as you can, because the species are in there. They're thriving. And we go, and our plan was we were going to leave Friday morning, bring the cooler. If we got onto some white perch or crappie or anything like that, we were going to do a little bit of harvesting, maybe plan a little fish fry, something like that. Well, my dad calls me, and this is on Thursday. He's like, hey, man, I don't know if you looked at the weather. He's like, but it's going to rain all day on Friday now. I was like, are you shitting me? I'm like, last forecast I saw Friday being great, and then Saturday maybe being a little questionable. And he's like, nope, it's going to pour. And, the problem is with renting those boats over there, there's no bilge pump, So, it fucks with your day of fishing. And he's like, maybe we'll do it another time, which, unfortunately, that other time is going to be next spring, because this was the last weekend they were doing the rentals, and they're closing it for the season. So I'm like, oh, fuck me, right? That sucks. So we didn't fish on Friday, which sucked. The rain was ridiculous on Friday. It was just dumping. And there were points. Now, you fished on Friday, Shawn. You were out there in it.
Dude, I pride myself on fishing some shit, and I was off the water in an hour and a half. It was a downpour.
Yeah, it was. I think it was almost 2 inches of rain that day. It was a lot.
For us, at where I was at, they got, over the course of that day and night, it was 4.
Really? That much?
We got smashed. Western Mash got smashed.
Yeah.
Everywhere from 2.5 to like 5 in some places, I think. It was crazy.
So Friday was a bust for me, but I was able to get a lot of the prep done for camping. So I had a plan. I was going to do some camping with Becca Yaseen, friend of the show. She's amazing. And Becca and I, we were trying to make plans to go out and camp, and there was the potential that she was going to have a trip lined up out in the upstate New York and closer to like Syracuse, Utica, like that way. And she's like, do some salmon fishing. She's like, are you down? She's like, it'll be Sunday and Monday. And I'm like, unfortunately, Sunday, Monday won't work because of like running kids around, school and all that other stuff. And my family, my wife and my kids, like our birthday celebration thing is we do a birthday dinner. Like everybody will go out to a restaurant, we'll have dinner and everything. And that was where it lined up with everybody's schedule. We were all going to be there. So it was nice. So I had plans for that, and I'm like, I'm not going to have them cancel that plans. I know that Holly was looking forward to it. The girls, like, it was, Delaney's easy. Chloe has a crazy schedule. She's all over the place. So getting her figured out and tuned for a day, that she's available is crazy tricky. So I was like, I'm not going to do that. I told her, I was like, if you just want to like go and do that, I totally understand. Like, I will figure something out. I'll take the kayak out and just go hard for the Saturday, the last day of the tourney, or maybe I'll even just go and camp. And I was, we'll figure it out. And she's like, nope. She's like, I definitely want to camp with you. And I was like, well, I go, why don't we do this? I go, why don't we fish kind of like why don't we go and camp midway? And then this way, we get that one night in, and then you'll be that much closer to your end destination. She's like, that's a great idea. So she had, like, Becca is a wizard when it comes to finding camp spots. She has a lot of resources that she uses, and she used an app called Hip Camp. And I know I've talked to you, Shawn, about this too. What Hip Camp is, it's almost like an Airbnb for like independently owned landowners that allow camping on their property. So you might find like a winery that has a bunch of, area that they will set aside for people to camp with their own terms. She found a spot. This guy in this area of New York has 75 acres, couple of ponds on there. One of them is designated as a swimming pond. So it's a sandy bottom. There are fish in there, as Becca was cleaning house, like microfishing, tiny bluegill, small fall fish. And, he's got, I forget how many sites, but he's got probably like 20 sites on here. We had one site, it was site number 1, and it was right near the main pond. And this pond has so much biodiversity as far as like the plant life around the sides. It really looks very picturesque. And there are fish in there. Becca laid into a good 3.5-pound largemouth. She was the only one that caught any fish. I took a few casts, but I was mainly excited because this is the first time I ever took my dog on like any type of an outdoor adventure at all. And it was truck camping and the whole nine. And Hudson, both my dogs are Boston Terriers. They're not like, they don't love being outside. They really don't. I think this little motherfucker had the best weekend of his life. I really do. He was living his best life. Absolutely amazing. He's the only experience with other dogs he really has is with a couple friends of ours that have occasionally taken him while we've been out of town, and they have dogs. And he's been all right generally for the most part. He gets a little excited initially, but Becca was going to bring Sky along. Sky is such an amazing dog. Sky's a golden retriever, and she is just absolutely wonderful. If she likes you, wants your attention, if you're sitting down somewhere, she'll come up and put her snout up against your arm and flip your arm up so that you're petting her. Like, she's wonderful, and she loves Bobby roast beef. We were curious how they were.
Who doesn't?
Exactly. Who doesn't? I can think of a couple people who don't love Bobby roast beef. But yeah, so Becca and I, we got there, and she did some microfishing. She caught some fucking toads. Like, she did it all. It was unbelievable. Like I said, I probably made 12 to 15 casts over the 2 days. That was it. It was just like, and I would only fish from like a spot nearby so I could, keep near Hudson and, make sure he wasn't being a dick. And he was good for the most part. I cooked my ass off though, Shawn. I cooked my ass off. So we get there and we arrive at like about 2 or 2:30, and we're talking with the owner, and he's showing us the property and stuff. And he's like, so he's got this big yurt. And when I say he's got a yurt, like he's installing a gourmet kitchen in here with like a Viking range. Like it's no bullshit. But then he has like a glamping site that has a set up canvas cabin. It's on a deck platform that's twice the size of the cabin. So you have like an awning that comes off that tent. And you've got a couple Adirondack chairs right there at the water. You've got a grill set up right there, a propane grill all ready for you. There's a queen size bed in this cabin. Like it's legit. Ooh. And I think we're gonna dip Queen Beef's toe into the outdoor experience by utilizing this. Before I go buy a bunch of gear, we're gonna go and try that out. But it's pretty nice, it was a nice little setup. So we get there, we take a look at the property, we start setting some things up, and I go and I still, I set up my rig where I'm going to cook. We got some firewood, started a fire, got that going. Because about this time, like the mosquitoes were pretty crazy. Once it got cool enough, though, it was nice. Once it got to about like the mid 50s, they were shut down. Good. So we get out there and I start making dinner. What I made for dinner was a pasta dish with hot Italian sausage, some braised kale, white beans, and what else did I use in there? Oh, for the sauce, I used a little bit of white wine and lemon juice, and I used a shit ton of garlic, again, to help with the mosquitoes, like 6 cloves. For 2 people, that's a lot of garlic. So I make all of this, I cook it all down, and I'll tell you,
Bobby, were you fucking cooking for Nelson?
I could have been.
The garlic, Jesus.
I mean, we would have been proud. He would have been proud.
Look, I'm not against garlic. I like a little bit. I just have my limits.
I love garlic.
You know what I mean?
It's never too much. So yeah. I am camp people's chorizo when it comes to garlic. So I make all this, and I'll tell you, like the star of the show, my wife had discovered that the company Barilla, they make a shelf-stable cooked pasta. And I'm like, for camping, that sounds perfect. It's one less pot. You know what I mean? It's one less thing I have to do. But I was like, I want that pasta water, like how am I going to work this out? What I did, and this is why I added the beans to the recipe. I drained like 2/3 of the beans, and I used like 1/3 of that can of the liquid because I knew it was starchy and would bind everything together, and it worked like a charm. It works so well. Added the pasta. It's like a little bit before al dente, so you do have to cook it, down to get it to the right, unless you're like my wife, who likes to just cook it to death, so you don't even have to chew it. You know what I mean? There's no. I'm like,
that's mush.
Slow your roll, woman. Slow your roll.
So I made this. It was out of this world. I am a little heavy-handed with the crushed red pepper. And Becca was like, she's like, it's so fucking good, but it's so spicy. And I'm like, well, it is a spicy sausage pasta, And she's like, do you think this is hot? And I was like, no, not at all. And she's like, oh my God. She's like, I'm fucking Portuguese. I should not be such a bitch. Like, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. But it was absolutely delicious. Hudson, like I'm a terrible dog owner. I treat Hudson to table scraps all the time. Eleanor's the same way. It is what it is. We don't live forever. Like, let's be fucking happy. So he got to eat some of that, which he absolutely loved. Didn't love it while we were sleeping in the fucking truck, though. My God. But hey. That's the price you pay. He had to pay the piper as well. He was in there sleeping with this fucking fart face. So it was all good. I think I slept for like 5 hours. And what the fuck is that? My dogs are going crazy right now.
Is that your fire alarm?
We have one that's running low on battery, and it just fucking freaks the fuck out. So I took it down because these are the ones where you replace them. You don't change the batteries.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that's what it is. It's freaking the fuck out. And I'm waiting on the new one to show up because we just ordered them from Amazon, like a 3-pack. And I'm like, yeah, that's the... Yeah, so they're fucking losing their mind. My daughter's probably like, what the fuck?
All right.
Yeah.
Little excitement.
Always a party here at the roast beef house.
So I, I mean, everything's going great. We're having ourselves a good time. We turn in, it gets dark pretty early now. So we just burned all the wood for the firewood, decided we turn in. And I go in the truck, take Hudson up there, and he loved it. I set him up with a spot to sleep on the front seat, on the passenger seat where he rode up, because I have this small like blanket. It's all synthetic material. It's great. Like shake it off and it's dry type thing. So I've used it as a rug, and the thing's fantastic. And I left that up there and I put him in there while I got into the back of the truck, and he was amazed. He's like, number one, who are you and why are you in the back of this vehicle? And how is it that there's a bed back there now? So I called him over. He crawled over the division between the front seat and the back seat, climbs over, and he was out. Like, he was just out immediately. I was on my phone for a little while. I talked to my youngest daughter. I talked to my oldest daughter. I called my wife. I called everybody. I'm surprised I didn't call you. I should have just started randomly calling fucking jig heads. And I'm like, I'm just fucking hanging out, doing my thing. I finally fall asleep. It was probably about 10:30. And I woke up to take a leak at like 3:30. I think because my phone died. So I'm not 100% sure. So I was like, I'm going to just chill and, try and go back to sleep. I didn't fall back to sleep. So I got up and it was just before 5. I was like, all right, cool. I'm going to get up. I'm going to start the truck and get the defroster running and all that stuff, because that's real life when you're truck camping. Like, you've got to deal with the condensation. Now, I have been using, I should say this, I don't know if I've ever talked about this, but when I'm truck camping, I use a product, 2 products actually, from a company called Deep Sleep. Deep Sleep Overland makes primarily, like, their main product is they make these inflatable hybrid mattresses. And I know I've talked about these before on the show. Wicked comfortable. They have some padding in there. They're self-inflating. They're like, and actually, I was really surprised this week how well they did with Hudson and his crazy ass dog claws, not puncturing anything. Like, they held up really, really well. So that's a good sign from them. Super comfortable, love them. But the other thing from Deep Sleep that I use are these screens that go over my passenger, my back seat, my rear doors. I pull them over and then I can drop the windows. So it gives me basically a bug-free environment that allows for ventilation. And there is now one that they have that's got a string of magnets that go across the back, and I can put it over my rear window and put that window down to increase even more ventilation. That maybe in the summer might be like the perfect situation. So anyway, I get up, I get my defrosters going, and I decide to brew a pot of coffee. I had done a Jack and Jill just a week prior, and I had won a prize. I think I talked about this on the show. It was 3 cans of whole bean monsoon, locally roasted monsoon coffee. And one of these cans was my favorite variety, called Liquid Sunshine. And I love Liquid Sunshine. It's so good. It's bright. It's a light roast. It's got some fruity kind of elements in there. And it's like, if you're like me, you like drinking black coffee, this has so much personality and flavor. It is wild. But the other thing that was in there was a coffee grinder, like one of these small, not a high quality burr grinder or anything like that. This was just a simple, like a spice or a coffee grinder. And I have an outlet in the back of my truck that's available. I charge my Nocqua batteries on there all the time. So I was like, we'll give this a shot. Power up that outlet while the truck's going, fill this sucker full of beans. And I realized something. That is the bougiest thing I have that I bring camping with me. It 100% is. That is the accessory. And it makes a difference. So I ended up brewing 2 pots of coffee. I killed one on my own. Becca still passed out in her truck with Sky. Hudson's up with me. I'm drinking coffee, and I started. I had a little bit of a dilemma with my stove. I went and I started it, and it was all good. I put it out, but when I went to actually go and cook, like 30 minutes later, I couldn't get it to start. So I got to figure out what it is that I'm doing wrong. And this is the stove with the white gas stove. I am going to be getting the adjustment arm to upgrade it so I can switch it back and forth to propane. So this would be a good thing for a lot of reasons because it's an alternative fuel. I don't have to pump it up to keep pressure in it. But that white gas will last forever. You know, that's like, if I can figure that out and dial it in, I think I'll be in business. So what I ended up doing was as another backup, I could have cooked on the campfire. I brought that grill with me so I could put that over the fire. I could have done this over the campfire, but I wanted to cook a little bit higher up, not on the ground, you know? So what I did was I just took a couple of sterno cans and I put them inside my stove and I fired those up and it worked great. It was absolutely awesome. In fact, when I just wanted to keep it warm, like when I was making breakfast that next day, I just took one of those sterno cans and moved it away. Extinguished it and let the one sit there and it just kept it warm. So this is wild. The breakfast. Out of this world. My go-to camp breakfast now is breakfast tacos. You basically make this giant scramble, cook it all together, cover it with cheese, and then move it off the flame, and then start cooking your tortillas. Becca has a dairy allergy, a severe dairy allergy too. Like it's not like it gives me the toots. No, this is like fucking bad. So she, in her videos, and you hear her say it all the time, she she has to excuse the fact that she's using like dairy-free products and stuff. And most of these products that are dairy-free are going to carry the term vegan. She's like, I'm not vegan, guys, blah, blah, blah. I had to buy vegan cheese, dude. I had to.
What brand? The Dia?
Yeah. It's made from chickpeas, right?
Let me tell you a horror story. When I was figuring out my allergy, fucking stomach issues, all that shit.
Yep.
I had a doctor recommend like process of elimination. So I eliminated dairy for a little while. And I made everything out of the Dia cheese.
Yeah.
And it was fucking awful. It was so bad. I don't know if it's improved in the last 10 years, but it was horrible. Way back. Oh, Jesus, that was what, 2008, 2009, 2010, somewhere around there. So
I've had other like dairy-free products and stuff like that. And I thought this Dia was the best have come across.
So maybe they made improvements.
They may have
choking it down.
It melted. And that's a giant accomplishment. Like it melted. If you actually, I checked, I posted a video on yesterday on Instagram and on TikTok, just kind of going over the whole weekend. And Becca's like, she doesn't expect anything. And there's a spot where she grabs a piece of cheese off the top. She's like, look at that cheese pole. And it's literally like a grain of rice that just comes off. It's made from fucking garbanzo beans. You know what I mean? Like it's not, you're never going to get it exact, but flavor was fine, and in a taco like that, where everything's getting put into a shell, not a problem. So, I get up and I decide I'm going to start cooking, and I'm like, I'm going to wait until, what time did I wait until? I think it was like 5:30. I started cooking, and so my breakfast tacos are basically, I like to carry these diced canned potatoes because they cook faster than a raw potato, and they also they're shelf stable. Primarily, that's the thing. So I have a pantry box of just random food items. It's that I keep in my truck. But these are all things that are shelf stable that I can use while camping. A lot of charcuterie goes in here, so that even if I'm out and I'm like, oh yeah, we're fishing or something, I want to put out a little spread. Grab my cutting board, start slicing up some soprasette, start putting out some tinned fish, stuff like that. Maybe some sardines, if you will, Adam Blomeke. So I start cooking. It gets to be, I take everything off the fire. I add the cheese, and I basically do that with that one sterno can. I let it stay warm. I wrap some tin foil over the top just to kind of keep it and leave it. And I'm waiting on Becca, and I'm going to use my other stove, the one that I use for when I make coffee, the isobutane one. And I'm just like, I'm just going to heat up a pan. I'm going to do a bunch of tortillas. We'll be good to go. Got to go corn tortilla. White corn tortilla on a breakfast taco is ridiculous. Out of this world. I was much less heavy-handed with the spice in this recipe, and I think it was much appreciated. I think she needed a break. It was just we had a good time. It was a whole lot of fun. Sky had some digestive issues that had Becca a little bit concerned, and she had quite a bit more trip to go. So she's like, "I'm going to take her and see how it goes." But I got to really kind of keep an eye on her over the next 12 hours or so to figure out, are we going to wrap this trip short and I'm going to come home, or what are we going to do? And it ended up working out great for everybody. She took off. I cleaned up camp and then hit the road. I was actually about an hour early than when I needed to check out. I could have, lazed around a little bit. Hudson just had a blast. Like, I had him off leash for a little while, and he was just like, he was so good. Absolutely loved it. He did get to see a bass for his first time. He's never seen a fish before. And he's going to be all over Becca's video, because I think that if Sky wouldn't have been so offended by it, I have a feeling that Hudson would have slept in Becca's truck. I have a feeling, a strong feeling. I think Hudson and Becca are homies for life.
Nice.
And so there's two conversations that came around this out of the campfire, Shawn, that I think I'm just going to throw them at you and see what you think. If you're down. First off, it's tourney related.
Okay.
What if we do an ice tournament? They could at least bounce it around.
I would love to. The problem is the inconsistency that we've had up here for years.
And that's what we talked about.
Issue.
We're like, fuck, because that makes it kind of crazy. Like, she's like, it would be cool if you guys did like even just a weekend or something like that. Like, that's when it was. And I'm like, I'm not 100% sure. Like, we're going to have to see what happens. Although, in theory, this should be a pretty cold winter.
Should be, but then there's other things that we've talked about that I've had reluctance about doing in-person tournaments with logistics. That especially with something as dangerous as ice, I would be very reluctant.
I brought that up. I was like, it would be so fucking cool, but I'm like,
remote tournaments are one thing that people are doing. We're gathering in a certain spot. That's an event. If something happens, we're not insured.
I would like. I would think it would be great if we could do a remote, but like at the same time, like I suppose we would just have to run a disclaimer and be like, "Don't be an idiot. If there's no safe ice, go somewhere out where there is, or don't enter." I mean, I'm not sure.
It's tough. It's really it's a tough.
And I think
it's a tough thing, but
I was like, do it shorter, like carve out a date and figure it out. And she's like, what if you did it as a monthly? Like, just try the month of February. And then if people can do it, then cool, because then they can get out when they can get out. And it's not,
We did. Remember, we did the 3 monthly one in Chronic Trips. And we got very small turnout.
Yeah.
It was only 4 or 5 people would consistently do it.
Yeah.
So
did we even get that many?
I know. I think there was one we had 3. It was Nelson, Nate Shagnon, and somebody else did it.
Yep.
Nate's buddy John. And that was it.
Oh, okay.
So the turnout just wasn't there.
Yeah.
That was what 2 years ago.
Oh yeah.
2 years
it was
ago?
before it must have been before the 100th episode. I'll bet you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd have to look, but I think that's when we were using either
Fish Donkey,
Fish Donkey, or did we ever use Tourney X? I don't
think we ever did.
No, I think it was Fish Donkey we were using, but we had no turnout. So
yeah, and it's all going to depend. A lot of it is dependent on like how much safe ice is out there. Are people going to want to enter this? And I don't know. We'll have to play around with it. The other thing is this, and I mentioned this. I'm going to put it together. I was thinking about doing a Friendsgiving camp out. Like upstate New York, not upstate New York, like New Hampshire, something like that. Get a couple of people together. Everybody just does like a little potluck. We get together, camp a night, maybe 2, and then just go about our business.
So what are you thinking? Using I think the issue with that is camping season's done and not a lot of people have cold weather camping gear.
It would be, that's what I'm saying. It would 100% be one of these things where it's dispersed camping, and it would be, you gotta fucking bring your shit. You gotta figure it out, just something.
I think the idea is there. I think the logistics on that one would need some rounding.
And I'm not talking about like 25, 30 people. Like I was telling Becca, I said, what do you think about doing this? I was like, myself and her, Todd, all of which camp in the colder months. I'm like, and then from there, I was like, I'll throw the invite to Joe and Shawn and see what they're thinking, but like dispersed camping can be fucking wild. The cool thing is that Becca has a good little database of her own of pretty fucking cool spots that from a content side are amazing. Like throw a drone in the air while everybody's cooking and like figuring this shit out. I even told her she's got a product deal coming where she needs to produce a video. I was like, I have a great idea how you could do this. And it just won't line up timeline wise for her. But I'm like, fuck, if you want to get in extra with this company, I got a good way for you to fucking do it. So it's just fucking awesome. I also got to say this before I wrap up my week. Becca is just a few short weeks away from one of the biggest announcements on her channel, and it involves a new camping rig, which is going to involve a lot more. Like she'll be traveling and doing some expos and stuff and things like that. But this thing is fucking amazing, and just it's going to be wild. It's going to change everything for her content. And it's fucking just badass. So keep an eye out for that. It is an unbelievable piece of equipment that she has somehow managed to create this amazing partnership with that it'll fucking blow your mind. It'll blow your mind.
Cool.
That does it for me. How I turn that into 40 minutes of fucking conversation, I don't know. But here we are.
Because you're a professional. That's how.
Yeah.
All right.
No fish this weekend.
Yeah, my week started the week prior. I had something interesting happen that I want to bring up. I don't think I've ever seen this. So this is what keeping records do. You see some weird shit. This has nothing to do with anything. But when you and I went up to the mountains last week,
yep,
and we started early, I got 12 fish that day combined.
Yeah,
different species.
Yep.
The next time I went out by myself in a rainstorm, I got 12 fish. When we went to the place where you caught the crappie, we both caught a billion bluegill. I caught 12 bluegill and looks like 4 bass. Yeah, 4 bass. Then my big day, I went out and caught 12 fish, and that's where it kind of stopped. But so 12 was like kind of lingering around. It
like
doesn't,
a magic number.
I don't know. Yeah, it was weird. It was a weird magic number for 4 days in a row out fishing. But to get back to where we started, so you and I got out on a small pond. Relatively, I mean, I'm not going to say urban, but it's on a main road. Mm-hmm. It's got some industry around it. There are trout that are thrown in there, to my understanding, throughout the year. I think it's a spring and fall stocking lake. There's plenty of fish in there. I have pulled a big fish out of there at one point. I want to say it was at near or around 6 pounds. Big fish, big largemouth.
Yep.
So they're in there. They are difficult to catch, but they're in there. And I needed to get a hold of a crappie. I had to get a hold of a crappie, a bullhead, catfish, or a walleye, preferably all three before the week ended. And my walleye spot, I have one spot I can consistently catch walleye at in Western Massachusetts, and it is flooded the fuck out. I will probably not be able to touch that until next year.
Yeah.
Like it is bad. Bullhead, I don't night fish a lot anymore, so that's kind of off the table. I mean, the occasional bullhead hit a lure, but it's not consistent.
No, it's not.
You learned what, a couple weeks ago.
Yep.
And so I said, well, I'll focus on the crappie. Now, at this point, I was 1 point behind Tim Behan. Tim had gone to 10 points in the tournament. I was at 9, and I had the tiebreaker. So all I had to do was tie him, and I was technically in first place. What I didn't know while you and I were out on the water with me flailing around miserably for a crappie was that Tim caught a carp and put himself 2 points over, and that was the end of that.
Yeah.
There's again, carp. I'm about as consistent with carp these days as I am with
bullhead.
Yeah, bullhead on lures, catfish on lures. So when I got home and saw that, I said, okay, I'm going to shift gears here. What do we got going on? Now, I'm going to divulge a little something. I'm not going to get into a lot of detail here. Mm-hmm. And when I got back into fishing regularly after my little mental health hiatus this summer, I was reached out to by a couple friends who do a small offline monthly just for themselves. And we're all, it's a big supportive thing. It's positive. And they said, would you like in? And these are a lot of people I trust, and it's not a big number. So it's not big money. This is just more, this is your weekly poker game.
Yep.
At home. You know what I mean? You're not spending thousands of dollars. It's nothing. We do a little monthly best 3 fish. And I said, well, best 3 bass. And I said, well, I'll just kind of shift gears into that. Cause I was doing okay, but I wasn't great.
Yeah.
I had a couple 18-inch fish in there, and then I think a 16. So I wasn't bad, but I said, I'll shift gears and go into that. And now again, I'm starting, as we talked about last week's Just a Tip, I'm exploring a lot of bodies of water that I haven't touched for 2 or 3 years. A lot of ones that were my favorite for a decade, and I haven't touched them.
Yeah.
I went up to the Berkshires. I went to one of my favorite hidey holes of the past. And this place has a propensity to hit a bass jig. A lot of fish in here will go after a good-sized bass jig. And I didn't feel like it was a bass jig day, but I said, well, I know that the history's here. Let's try it. Mm-hmm. And I want to kind of go through what happened with this day, because this turned into one of the most amazing. How long did I fish? 4 hours? 5, not even 4.5 hours. This turned into one of the most amazing 4.5 hour stretches. So all I threw was a bass jig. Mm-hmm. All right. And I went through this list with you, but this was nothing short of amazing. I caught 12 fish. Again, this is one of the 12 days. Mm-hmm. So a 21-inch pickerel, 18.25-inch bass, largemouth, 19-inch largemouth, 19-inch largemouth, 20-inch pickerel, 20.5-inch largemouth that looked like it ate a fucking shoe, one of Andre the Giant shoe. That thing was disgusting. That was a slob fish. I think that's my biggest of the year. 19.75 pickerel, 18-inch pickerel, 17.75-inch bass, 17.25-inch bass. That was my smallest fish of the day.
That's insane.
19-inch pickerel, 18-inch pickerel. So I caught 12 fish. All of them were over 17.25. And here's the best part. Every one of those fish was in under 3 feet of water, and there's no cover. It was all rocks. It was great.
No shit.
I'm guessing they were in there eating crawdads is my best guess.
Which makes sense why they were chomping a jig too.
They smoked it. So this was amazing. So with that day, I moved into first in my little monthly with my buddies, and ended up holding on to that. Second place was close. But that was a fantastic day. And this is a great little, you know what? I'll save that for the tip, but I did go back there. So did you have a Just a Tip today?
Not this week.
Good. I'll take care of that.
Perfect.
I did go back there in the downpour, and it wasn't the same. After that, I revisited because yesterday started the brand new, with all the new rules, all the fixins, and the new coat of paint, the new Jigs and Bigs nationwide multi-species scavenger hunt started yesterday. I went out to one of my favorite multi-species body of waters, and I didn't do too well. I mean, I caught fish, but it wasn't great. I caught a big pickerel. Actually, I caught 2 big pickerel. I did get a perch. I got an undersized rock bass. I got a bluegill, and a couple small largemouth. So I put up 4 points, but I don't really feel proud of what I did. I was actually out there hoping to get a trout or 2. And what I ended up seeing on the water was the trout were all on the surface sucking down some sort of insect hatch. There was some sort of something that looked like flying ants of some sort, and they were everywhere. And the trout were eating them like me on the couch eating Cheetos, just one after the other, and they wouldn't touch anything else. So I did what I could. It's a long, we got a long month. We got 31 days in this one.
Yep.
2 are down, and get on them. It's all good. Besides that, really, I've been doing a little more modifying of the boats. I came up with a better system, I think, of what I want to bring on the water. I had mentioned this before we started recording, that I reorganized my tackle again. So I'm now down to bringing 4 3,700 boxes and a plastic container, which I will review in Gear of the Week this week. I'm my goal with fishing is to be as lean and light and flexible as possible. I don't think I can get away from the 7 rods at this point. I know what I'm doing with that.
Yeah.
But as far as tackle, man, did I cut down. I went through, I eliminated, I had 6 boxes. Now I have 4. I got rid of stuff like spinnerbaits. I'm not even carrying spinnerbaits anymore. They're not worth me catching one fish that's 14 inches every 2 years. It doesn't work for me. I've really moved on to chatterbaits, and it's weird because like spinnerbaits were such a key component of my night fishing, in the past decade. And then growing up, throwing a spinnerbait in a river, you just did that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
So that's kind of funky, but looking forward for this week, I think I have 1 or 2 days I can get out while the kids are at school. My buddies and I have our yearly camping trip planned, but I don't know how that's going to go. We are supposed to get absolutely downpoured on again this weekend. And then the weekend after that, I think I have a little trip planned that I'll be doing some very, very bizarre multi-species fishing at a place I've never fished before. That's a renowned fishery. So we'll talk about that in a couple of weeks. But That was pretty much my week. It's been busy with, soccer. And now that, both of my boys are working on the weekends, I am a taxi driver. I mean, just every day of the week.
Oh yeah.
I'm driving somebody to or from work or to or from school. I cannot wait for my oldest to get his license, which is much more complex task than, when we were kids, which, with your oldest, It is a pain in the ass. So, I'm working it, man. I'm grinding. I'm doing what I can.
Fucking A.
And I'm hoping, if you guys notice the new Jigs and Bigs tournament, if you have not looked at the rules, we allow any body of water now, as long as you are legally allowed to fish it.
Yep.
I don't care if you got a buddy's pond who's got bass in it, go ahead, because length is great for a tiebreaker, but species. Now, I thought about this the other day because when I went out yesterday, I caught a bass, a pickerel, a perch, and a bluegill, right? So that's 4 species.
Yeah.
And I thought about this, and I'm like, wow, I drove all the way up here for this shit and the opportunity to go at some trout when I could have just stayed at my house where I have a pond in my backyard. Now, for anybody who's skeptical about this and says, well, Shawn set it up so that he can fish his backyard. You're goddamn right I did. Because really, when it comes down to it.
You're goddamn right I did.
Yeah, well, I did. I don't want to fight. I have I've been miserable for the past 3 years.
Yeah.
Because I have a pond in my backyard that I can't fish for any tournaments. Right?
Yeah.
Now, with this tournament, how is this pond going to affect anything? It's going to save me money on gas. That's it. Because I could have caught the same species in my pond that I did yesterday.
Exactly. Without there being a lunker for any of those species.
Yeah.
Who gives a shit? As long as you check those species boxes, you're good to go.
Let me tell you something, folks. Right now, as of right now, if I were to fish every day in my pond, every day, and put out lunkers of every species, I've already lost to Jerry House.
Yeah.
I've already lost. He's got 5 points on the board. I've already lost.
Yeah.
So my pond has pickerel and largemouth, there's 2. My pond has crappie, perch, and bluegills. That's 5.
Yeah.
All right.
You'd be limited to that.
And I am unaware if I have catfish in the pond. I don't know. I don't know if there's bullheads in there. I've never seen them. Usually you can see them breeding at some point or another during the summer. I've never seen it.
Yeah.
Now, one of my neighbors said years ago she may or may not have thrown a fucking couple of giant channel cats in there, but I've never seen it.
Yeah.
And I don't have that big of a pond. I don't know if they can survive in it. So if I get 5 points out of that, all I'm doing is saving gas. There's when I ran this idea by you, because it's our tournament. It's got Jigs and Bigs name on it. This is a me and you production. I said I want to do this, and I don't know of any private pond in the U.S. that has 22 species of fish in it.
No,
nobody's going to win on their private pond. You're going to save yourself some gas if you can, or you're going to enjoy your fishing because it's a place you might fish already.
Yep.
But nobody's going to win based on a private pond.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm going to stand fucking by that.
Yeah. You're going to have to vary your water eventually,
Yeah.
Or you're just going to fucking grind. Like, I'll be honest with you. So I'll give you an example. Like, I know that there is there are a wide, diverse amount of species. This one pond that I hit often because it's, again, saving gas. It's closest to me, right? And it's got a wide variety of species in there. I'm talking about Naturwonic. I know that there are species that I go there and I target when we're doing this, but I also realize like I've only caught so many of them. So like I'm not going to Naturwonic for rock bass. I've caught one. I don't know what the population is really like there, you know? And I fish there a ton. Like there are so many bass in this pond. There are so many, it gets stocked with trout. I see the occasional bowfin once in a while in there. I've only caught one. And, you know, I mean, I know that people aren't pulling them out left and right. Pickerel, I've caught 2 pickerel there. Chrissy's caught a 3rd. I'm not targeting those fish there. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're going to have to change it up.
Yeah.
You know?
Exactly. So, yeah, I don't mind if people want to use private ponds. There's no reason not to. And again, the lunker is only a tiebreaker. The lunker, it's not even a lunker.
Yeah.
It's total combined
it's
length
inches.
is a tiebreaker. So even if I caught maximum length fish, let's say I caught a state pin, which I can't turn in because it's a private pond. But let's say I'm at my pond and I catch a state pin size fish, right? So that'd be a 21-inch bass, a 25-inch pickerel. So that's 46 inches, right? What's a state pin perch? 14?
Something like that.
I got to do math now. So 46 plus 14 is 60, right? So that's 60 inches. And then a state pin bluegill, I believe, is 10. So that's 70. And a state pin crappie is 14 or 15. Let's go low. We'll
give it
84,
14.
Right?
Yeah, 84 inches total.
84 inches in this tournament is fucking laughable.
Yeah.
Laughable.
Yeah.
Last month, we had an 95 last month, and it was the last month. Oh, by the way, we should say RIP to the 95.
Yeah, we should.
It caused a lot of joy, and it caused a lot of confusion. It caused a lot of anger, but
and a lot of additional work for no real reason.
Yeah, if you take off the 120 inches I had on the 95 last month, now I finished second, but I did have the highest length total.
Mm-hmm.
I had 230 inches, so it's 100. I had 110, we'll say 110 inches without the 95. So I just said I have 84, right?
Yep.
I can fish my private pond as much as I want. It's not going to fucking do shit.
No, it's not.
Shit.
So the numbers just aren't there to support that argument that it's, And
especially since I already got all the species that are in. I got bluegill, perch. There's 2 of them. Pickerel, largemouth. Good. Maybe I can finally get a crappie. There's 1 point.
Yeah. And it's,
Who gives a
I
shit?
will say that it is a nice convenience because if you're grinding it out looking for a crappie and you're just like, I gotta get a crappie this month, it is nice to just drop your yak or just do it from your dock and fish right there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like that way. Yeah. You can put an hour, 2 hours in every day trying to find a crappie, versus going to whatever body of water and having to hunt for them there.
Let me describe my pond a little bit. So I left part of my mental health adventure this summer was leaving my lake association board. I dropped off of it because it was a source of stress for me because as an angler and
it's a board.
half-ass environmentalist, seeing what is in this pond and how it's managed was driving me insane. Yeah. And it just, there's no cover. There's no plant life. There's no cover. There's nothing.
Yeah.
There's some trees in there, but then everybody freaks out and says, we don't want the trees in there. That's going to make weeds, which I guess that's alchemy, but whatever. We'll just roll with that. And I kind of laugh because with no cover, the fish in the pond behave very, very differently than most places. Because if you have cover, the fish are going to feel comfortable, going after bait, feeding, this, that, and the other thing. I've had some good days on the pond where there's the first day I used a Ned rig on the pond, the fish never saw it before. Between me and my son, we caught like 40 or 50 fish.
Yep.
None of them were very big. Most of the time, your average run-of-the-mill day on my pond, I laugh because I say the pond is always good for 2 fish. It's always good for a 12-inch bass, and it's always good for like a 15-inch bass, maybe bigger. That's it. Like it's really, really, really tough to target things in the pond, but I guess I can try now and see what's in there. Like maybe I'll throw a line out and see if there's catfish around. I don't know. But
maybe this winter you throw your Christmas tree by your dock and catch your crappie that way.
Well, no, because that's not going to fly. You're not supposed to throw anything in there. This pond also has some historical value, and anything goes in or out has to deal with the town, even if it's a Christmas tree.
Gotcha.
Which is stupid, but again, I left because I dropped this stress. But
yeah, exactly.
That's all I have for my week. You want to talk some tourney stuff before we take a break?
Let's discuss tourney stuff. I mean, we kind of already touched on the fact that October tournament is live. It's happening, and if you're not currently, a member of it, you're not currently signed up and registered, you have until the end of this week to do so.
Yep, you have a little bit longer. You have 8th. So what day's the 8th?
I think it's Sunday.
Is it? Oh yeah,
yeah. It is.
All right, you got till Sunday.
Yeah, you got till Sunday.
And remember, everyone, before you get intimidated by these numbers of fish that are already popping up, it's just catch fish.
Yeah, that's the beauty of it.
Catch different species of fish.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a lunker tournament where somebody's out of the gate blowing everything up with 3 gigantic bass and fucking 5 pike, and we're good.
Yep.
Get out there and fish.
This is a true scavenger hunt this month, and going
really
forward,
is.
yeah, a true scavenger hunt.
We like it. So I just want to talk about who's got points in already. So we're on day 2 of this right now. I also want to make a little a note here. So I'm going to read the scores not as they are off the scoreboard, but as I know them. We are having an issue, and this has been a year-long thing. Fishing Chaos has been good to correct it, and I'm sending an email as soon as we're done recording. A couple of the species leaderboards are not computing, even though I did everything on my end. It's just they're not seeing them. So the scores, as you look at them, probably until midweek, might be off a little bit. Mm-hmm. You can look through all the leaderboards and see who's got what and roll from there. But 6 people have turned fish in. Mm-hmm. You got Rick Olbris has 1 point. Tim Bean, September's winner. We'll talk about that in a minute. 2 points. Nathan Grant, 2 points. Patrick Martin, 3 points. Me, 4 points. Jerry Multi-House making his triumphant return to the Jigs and Bigs series.
Good to have you, Jerry.
Now, here's where it's funky. Jerry called me yesterday. It says 4 points. He has 5. So just wait on that, folks. We're working. We're working behind the scenes. We're good. Jump in, please. We'd love to see it. We'd love to see you compete. This is fun. It's light competition. You're not going to quit your job after winning this, but it is fun.
Be a part of it.
Yeah. Now, Bobby, I said I was going to leave a couple things hanging there. I should have probably made a note. What was I going to say about this?
Say about what?
Well, I don't know. Was it the tournament? A fucking hippie.
I'm not sure. I'm assuming it was the tournament because we're in it. We're having that conversation.
Whatever. And I know we're going to talk about the cube later. There was something else I wanted to say.
We're going to do the raffles, the raffle winners.
We are going to do that. Yeah, whatever. I'll remember it 2 hours from now. I'll go, son of a bitch, I forgot. Whatever. Sorry, guys, leaving a loose end this week. But as far as September goes, payouts have already been done for the 4 winners. So congrats to everyone.
Sweet.
We actually had, and this is going to, well, I guess this is where length probably will play a little bit, of importance in these tournaments. Mm-hmm. So September, this is the first month we've gone to the 1 point per species, no lunker, and then length is the tiebreaker. We had Nathan Grant finish in 4th place, 9 points. We had Nelson finish in 3rd place, 9 points. We had myself finish in 2nd place with 9 points.
Yep.
And then Tim Behan, congrats, Tim. You took 11 points for 1st place. Now, as far as the tiebreakers went, I had the most length in the tournament with 242. Nelson was 3rd with 214, so that separated 2nd and 3rd right there. And Nathan had 202. Again, that was with an NE5. That's 5 fish that are probably going to be in the neighborhood of 20 inches.
Yep.
You're going to subtract that. I mean, hell, my NE5 was 118. I had a massive pike and pickerel month last month. So that's gone now. Rest in peace, NE5. We are good to go. Going forward, nice and simple. Beginners jump in on this. It's a lot of fun. You're just going to go out and you're going to try and catch fish. Don't care if you use bait. Don't care if you use lures. Please stay within the legal rules of your state, province, or whatever the fuck you're at. City, state, city, state, nation.
Yep.
You can go from the shore. You can go from a boat. Again, stay legal, and you can fish anywhere you want as long as you can legally do so. And it's in the rules. So
yeah,
that's all I got. Let's, you ready to do a little raffle here?
Let's fucking give some shit away. Some prizes.
All right.
So
all right, I'm going to go. Oh, go ahead.
I just want to go over it because there's some of this stuff that we haven't done before. I just want to make sure. So we're choosing a total of 7 winners. I'm going to do them all at once, and then I'll just give you the names.
Okay.
Do we want to allow people to win multiple times?
No.
No? All right.
Nope.
Cool.
Nope. We want to spread this around. Again, all of our winners for these giveaways are people who were in the tournament but did not finish in the money. We're not letting anybody who finished in the money get anything. I'm ready when you are, boss.
I am as well. And I have the appropriate sound effect to celebrate each win.
Perfect.
What's the first prize?
We're going to go alphabetically.
I love that.
Do not slander any sponsors or any partners by putting somebody first or somebody last.
Yeah.
None of that shit. All right. For a custom painted lure from ABA Lure Lab.
Oh, yes.
Our friends up there. Who do we got?
We got Dwayne W. Excellent, Dwayne. Nice job. Custom painted lure. And I'll tell you what, you're getting one hell of a piece of equipment right there. It's going to be good. What about our second prize?
Second prize is Fresh Baits Sampler Pack.
Oh, the Fresh Baits Sampler Pack. Vidal.
Which is funny because you predicted that Vidal would once again win a set of Torres sunglasses. He's got fucking, 6 sets of eyes like a spider. Just fucking fire those things on there.
I love it.
All right.
Next prize?
Next up, H-I-J. I gotta go alphabetically. Next prize is the Jigs and Bigs Torres sunglasses. Vidal fucking barely escaped.
Those are Steve G.
All right, Steve Galloway. So I didn't put all the last names because we were quick about this.
Yeah.
That's why you guys are getting abbreviations. All right, next up, 3 lures from Klondike Custom Bakes. I will contact the person with what we have left. Again, they've been whittled down. Matt gave me a fucking shit ton of them to give away, and here we go.
I love it. We got Steve G. No, I'm sorry. Nate G is the winner there. I got to scroll this.
That is Nathan Grant.
Nathan Grant. Beautiful. What about this next prize?
Next up is... You still got to make that a trivia buzzer. You got to do it.
I know.
The power bank and gooseneck light set from Naqua.
That's going to Cheryl Bentley.
Congrats, Cheryl. All right, next up, we have a gift card and a hat from Nor'easter Hardcore Fishing Apparel.
Oh, it couldn't go to a better guy. Chris Mellowship.
Nice. And finally, we have a bait caster or a spinning combo setup, man. Rod sleeve from Sarah P's Sacks and Sleeves. Who we got?
Sarah P's Sacks and Sleeves can ship that rod sleeve to Binya.
All right. Congrats to all our winners. And we have the same giveaways for next month. For this month, excuse me.
So that's right. No, there's a Dark Horse $25 gift card to give out.
And I'm a piece of shit on that.
Yes. So you know what we're going to do? We're just going to fucking do this. I'm going to go right back to Riffle Raffle. I'm going to close out those results. Right? And unfortunately, we're going to have to allow multiple winners for this one.
Cool. All right. Dark Horse gets it. And apologies and thank you to Dark Horse for being on our live stream.
On our ass.
And telling us what for, because we're idiots.
1. Let's go ahead and do it. I view results. Clear winners. There we go. Boom.
We got
Dark Horse goes to Steve Galloway.
Steve Galloway.
All right.
I
love it. My God. My God. I think we're just going to go ahead and take a short break, guys. I will be back shortly. I'm going to rip a smoke detector off of my ceiling and throw it across the fucking street because my daughter cannot reach it. Hey, whatever. All right, bye. Hey, you. Yeah, you. The one with the impeccable taste in fishing podcasts. Bobby Roast Beef here with a little call to action for all Jigs and Bigs listeners. We're opening up our hotline to you. Now you can call us to sound off about almost anything at 413-324-8519. Want to submit someone for our FTG segment? Call us at 413-324-8519. Care to maybe suggest a topic for just the tip or bait of the week? Call us at 413-324-8519. Maybe you just want to give us or anyone else a little shout out on the show, or you want to suggest a guest for the beef seat. You guessed it. Call us at 413-324-8519. The Jigs and Bigs hotline is there for you to leave a message with us 24/7. Just call 413-324-8519. Also, you can check that number in the notes of this podcast. Jigs and Bigs wants to take a moment to say thank you to our partners for helping us continue to push the limits of our fishing adventures and bring you amazing long-form content. We're excited to offer Jigs and Bigs listeners a 15% off savings on your first installment of a month-to-month subscription to Dark Horse Tackle. Dark Horse Tackle provides a monthly supply of small batch, craft, and custom lures, allowing anglers to try some otherwise tough-to-discover baits. This is stuff you're not going to find just anywhere, and Dark Horse Tackle does the hard part for you. They track down these small companies and then test the baits to determine if they're good enough for the DHT community. Subscribe now at darkhorsetackle.com and use the promo code JIGSandBigs15 for your 15% off savings now. For all your premium kayak needs, we partner with Three Bells Outfitters. Located along Smith Cove in Niantic, Connecticut, Three Bells is your go-to location for kayaks and accessories by Hobie, Native, Bonafide, Jackson, Yak Attack, Naqua, Boondocks, Burley Pro, and much, much more. Financing options are available to upgrade your kayak fishing experience. White glove delivery service is also available. Visit threebellsoutfitters.com for more info, and don't forget to tell them that Jigs and Bigs sent you. When it comes to high-quality polarized sunglasses, we've partnered with Torres. They provide stylish sunglasses in a variety of frames that are light and fit comfortably on your face. The polarization cuts glare and allows you to see the whole picture, helping you identify what's below the water's surface. They have a 60-day risk-free trial, a lifetime warranty, and free shipping. Plus, you can save yourself 10% off with the code JIGSandBigs10 at checkout. Visit Torres.com to check out their selection and lens options. Again, we cannot thank our partners enough for their support. Please consider supporting them and supporting the show in the same process.
Bobby and Shawn now have a special presentation for us all. They'd like to give everyone just the tip.
After much, and I'm talking a whole lot of trying to regroup from that first segment, we figured out what the tip was for this week, folks. We got it together. A couple lightly roasted hippies arguing on the internet about fishing. Figured this shit out, everybody. Take it away, Shawn.
Welcome back to Drugs and Dicks.
Really?
Did we tell that story online on the air?
I think that's how I know we're getting fucking old, dude. We don't remember last week.
No, I know. Well, there's been a lot of this shit.
Think that we did. I think we did talk drugs and dicks last week. Yeah.
There was some autocorrect going on with my voice to text, and a really inappropriate text message was almost sent to Cheryl, who does our fishing report, and I killed it. Explained what happened. We all had a laugh. But drugs and dicks, very appropriate for this segment. Now, what I want to say for just a tip, for all you anglers out there, whether you're in a tournament or not, going out by yourself, hitting your different bodies of water as you, as you fish and as we live, as the world turns, One thing that I've picked up on is if I have a hot bite somewhere, I go back to that well till it's dry. So don't just say, hey, at the beginning of the week, I'm going to fish Lake X, Lake Y, and Lake Z when you have a hot bite on Lake X right off the bat.
Yep.
Go back to it because something's going on there. The fish might be in a big feed, and I've seen this throughout the year. It's not just a fall or a spring thing. Case in point, I think it was 2019, I was doing online tournaments, and it was best 5 bass. I went to a lake. I stopped at a lake, and I ended up going there for 2 full weeks, and the amount of large, like trophy-sized largemouth that I caught in those 2 weeks was staggering. And I made sure to bleed that place out as much as I could, and all those fish went in for the tournament. And I ended up winning. I talked about this before, but I ended up winning that July and then rolling it right over and won the August in the first week because I caught so many big fish in 2 weeks because they were feeding on one particular thing. And I just kept going back there and exploiting that. So if you're in a tournament or even if you're just out there fishing for fun, just don't leave a place until you have pulled every big fish out that you can. Just go back to the well.
Yeah.
And then I think after that, I don't think at this one particular lake I'm talking about, I've had any big fish since, which is a shame, but it's another one of those lakes that I've yet to go back to. So I'm sure I'll get back to it and see what's going on there. That was a place that I was good for 1 or 2 big fish a year, but this 2 week span, I must have got, God, at least a dozen fish over 18 inches out of there just at night, just fishing, just getting, waiting for my buddy to get out of work. I would get out of work, and this is when a close friend was living with us because he was making some proactive life changes and moved out here, waited on his family, and he lived with us for 9 months, a year. And during that time, we would make sure when he got out of work, boom, going up to the mountains, grab a couple beers, and he would enjoy his drink while I fished. And those 2 weeks were amazing. But I made sure to keep going back to that lake until the well was dry. So keep that in mind. If you get a hot bite somewhere, don't move lakes. Stick with it. There's my tip for the day because, this happened this week where I had that awesome bite. And I did go back as soon as I could, but the conditions had changed. And I did not fare as well. So, it's not going to be successful every time, but you're not going to know unless you keep going back.
Yep.
Thoughts?
No, I think you summed it up very, very well.
I'm the man.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Let's get ready for this. You guys are going to enjoy this.
Fuck that guy. Fuck that guy. Fuck that guy.
I gave a lot of thought of how I wanted to start, where I wanted to start with this one. It's a recurring problem, and it's just gotten worse and worse and worse and more out of control. Etiquette, folks.
Oh, God.
And I want to start with golf. Golf's a very etiquette-heavy sport. Very, very etiquette-heavy. Let's talk about personal space in golf. So if someone's getting ready to tee up, they might not be hitting the ball in the action of swinging. It's really not appropriate to go strolling across the tee box within 5-6 feet of that person, right?
Yeah, of course.
Am I correct on that?
Nope.
I might, even if it's in a fucking your weekly beer league for golf, right? Somebody walks across it.
You might as well take a small hot air balloon with a cup for the basket and grab their ball and put it in there and allow that ball to go away.
Yeah, it's just it's fucking
that
bullshit,
level of
right?
Bullshit. Yeah.
Yeah. So there are a lot of parallels with fishing and golf, and I highly recommend anyone if you got more than one fishing rod in a kayak or in a boat, someone sees you and says, "Hey, what you do with all them rods?" Simply ask them, "Do you golf?" And most people will say yes, or "Have you ever golfed?" A lot more will say yes, and then reply to them with a question and say, "Have you ever?" So do you go golfing with just your putter, or just your 4-iron, or just your wedge? And they'll look at you. No, I bring all my clubs. Why? Because clubs hit the ball farther or shorter or can be used in particular substrates, rough, fairway, green, right? Those are fishing rods.
Yeah, exactly.
How far are you going to cast your lure? What are you casting it into? Well, different things in the water, different structures. Give them the old golf answer. Now, let's get away from golf and veer into what happened to me yesterday. Yesterday was a sunny, beautiful fall day in New England. I will say this. I want to give credit first. We're going to start on a positive note. The rule of 120 was not in play. We were over 130, I think, by my math, because the water was in the 60s and we were in the 70s yesterday, even in the mountains. Now let's get negative. Well, no, I'm sorry. Yesterday, myself, a paddleboarder, and a couple in recreational kayaks.
Oh, okay.
That's 4 of us, right?
Yep.
All of us wearing life vests, all of us wearing PFDs. There was a 5th. There was another guy in a touring kayak. 5 people. I was on this lake with no less than 70 people. It's after September. I know the lake I was in is close to New York, so there's different laws there.
Yeah.
And I did hear a lot of, hey, look at his leaf. I heard a lot of that.
Look at his leaf.
But in our state, you have to wear a PFD after September 15th.
Yes.
No one was regulating that. And that was problem number 1 for me. I'm like, this is fucking stupid. All right. Problem number 2 related to that, or problem 1A, is that very few of these people were younger than me. Most were significantly older. I maintain when wearing a life vest, it's not about swimming.
No.
Can you swim? Because that's what we all hear. Well, I can fucking swim. I'm not wearing a life vest. It's not about that. It's about going in the water when you're incapacitated and can't swim.
Yeah.
All right. You're going to go in if guy, let's say one of these geriatrics that were out there fucking paddling or pedaling yesterday, saw a couple pedal kayaks, has a stroke or a heart attack, and they're not wearing a PFD, they've now just compounded the problem.
Yeah.
Because now whoever's got to go in and get them, you got a lot more issues. They're wearing a PFD. It's a little easier to hold on and drag. And I'm saying this as someone who's trained as a lifeguard.
Yeah. It's
a lot easier that someone's already floating instead of now you're kicking up and whichever direction you're going to drag that. That's one of the things that, I mean, it was a long time ago I got certified, but they still make you rescue swim.
Yep.
You've still got to grab a limp body and drag them across the pool with your strength. And you're not walking. That was a problem.
Yeah.
Then here's where this is where the FTG gets really split up. All right. Aside from all the people that were just fucking not wearing PFDs, when I got out there, I was rigging up a lure. And this is where the T-box analogy comes in. And I saw 4 wreck kayakers, the youngest of which was probably 75.
Okay. Yeah. It's might even be the same group I ran into. Dark Crystal?
4 of them.
Yeah.
Huh?
Dark Crystal?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah. They were,
all right.
They were aging. I saw them coming from behind me and I moved over. I got out of the way, just pissed off and rigging my shit. And I hear splashing and I look up and one of them is within fucking 3 feet of me. I could have fucking reached out and slapped this idiot.
Isn't it wild?
And he just looks at me and, yeah, like it's just no fucking idea. And he's within 3 feet of me and he goes by and he stops paddling because he would have hit me with the paddle and goes, all right, you're going to get on him today? And I just went, huh. And I just looked at him and he was like kind of shocked that I was so rude. Like, so why would this guy be rude? I don't know. Why are you sitting in my lap?
Pretty much.
I look like I have ones? You fucking asshole. So he keeps going and I'm like,
put him on the glass, bitch.
I'm staring straight ahead and there is a gentleman in a bass boat who's relatively near to the shore. And I'm like, well, how is this going to play out? And they go really close to him too, but he was fishing out. They went on the inside. They were closer to shore. He was fishing out towards the middle. So I'm like, okay, that was probably a fight averted. That was right when I started my day. And then things kind of calmed down a little bit. There was, again, the trout guys. I like fishermen. I like all fishermen. Trout guys. You guys got some shit to work on. All right. You guys got some shit to work on because one of your brethren was out in a V-hull trolling for the trout that were, again, smacking the surface. And he was fine, a little loud. He was on his phone, kind of talking loudly to his buddy, but I've kind of gotten used to that. People don't understand how their voice carries across the water, and he wasn't bothering anybody. He was making a loud phone call and trolling for trout.
Yeah.
Forgiven.
Dude, I saw a leaf.
Hey, a leaf, hey. What is not forgivable was that when he was done trolling for trout for no less than 45 minutes, and Bobby, you got a call during this because I was so fucking fried. This is not a big lake. This guy drove in fucking circles for 45 minutes, just going as fast as he could in a V-hull for no reason. Like it was a fucking jet boat. Just making waves. Just, leaf time.
I love burning gas.
Yeah, and brain cells.
Yeah.
So I would like to nominate my 2 FDGs for the week. The group of 4 geriatrics that thought that was okay to come that close to somebody, and I hope they have fucking tee times next week and someone walks right on the green while they're teeing off. And then V-hull guy, what the hell are you thinking? What is going on? What is the point of that?
Yeah.
I don't even understand. Too many Red Bulls? I don't know.
Like it's that he's the one that I think is most interesting. Like, was he out trolling for trout and then like something happened? He was like, well, if I can't catch him, nobody's going to. Like that kind of mentality? Like, fuck all these people? Or
he wasn't coming super close. He was just making waves. I don't know what was going on. Maybe, you know what? Maybe the thing that changed was, I got to let you go. Trout aren't biting. I got a whole bag of cocaine right here. I got to get into this shit. Look at the leaves.
I'm thinking that it's possible, but I mean, you were on the water. You would know. Did the geriatric group, like, have a run-in with him at some point, and he was just like, you know what, I'm gonna get these guys off the fucking water, let's go?
No, they vanished. They went into there's a back area of this lake that is away from the main body, and they went in there. Come to think of it, I never saw them again. Maybe they're still there.
Cocaine.
Maybe I've just FTG'd the deceased. I don't know.
Wow.
Whatever.
Anyways, that's shitty.
They sucked, and I'm good with it. And I just got to ask, so trout people and boomers, what's going on here? You guys okay? Yeah. We know what's going on in the world, or is it just fucking, hey, we've lived long enough, fuck everybody time? What's going on here? Help us out.
I think that's the one. I really do.
I just don't, my head hurts. It's every week. It's every week at every body of water. It's every week. That's all I got.
Ridiculous.
Redonkulous.
Jigs and Bigs. Gear of the week.
It's about how on top of like editing the new intros that I am. Just using my vocal effects and going, gear.
Gear.
Well,
I got this one as yes. I got this one as well. I have been using a new tackle bag for my stuff, the Busby Cube for my plastics. Mm-hmm. It's a rectangular shaped plastic. I don't know what you call it. It's a zipper bag. It's water resistant, but not waterproof. I found that out because I did leave it in my boat during one of these rainstorms we had the past week in my driveway because I was going the next morning, and it did soak through and a lot dumped out. But water resistant, it is. Waterproof, it is not. You have, I don't know if you've seen me with this thing, right? Oh, no, you did. The other day.
I've seen it. Yeah.
Yeah. It's awesome. All right. I have nothing but great things to say about it. I've got now just one plastic container, and I wasn't super upset about the water resistant, waterproof thing because all my plastics inside are in Walmart Great Value freezer zipper bags. So we're good on that. Nothing got wet. Nothing got destroyed. We were all good. So I moved away from the tool bags I was using from Home Depot to this, and I am super excited. Like, it's really working out. It's about the same size. I think it's a hair bigger than a 3,700 box. So now underneath my seat where I made that little makeshift shelf, I have on one side 3 3,700 boxes, on the other side one $3,700. I think it's my terminal tackle and then the Busby on top of it. Home run with this. They are a little pricey. I got the biggest one. I think it was $60. And I'm not a genius. I read things like you guys do. I saw this initially on Wired to Fish. They had a soft plastic and tackle bag review thing. And that kind of piqued my curiosity. I grabbed it thinking that this could be the solution to the problem that I've been facing for years now with these plastics. It's light. It's water resistant. It goes under my seat, so I'm keeping it out of the water. Again, these native ultimates, they don't have scuppers. I'm aware of that, and I don't give a shit because I'm not out fishing in the downpour that often. I can always deal with it, but this is where I'm headed with this. I really, if you're looking for a solution for your plastics and you want something that's going to handle, being exposed in the elements, as long as you're not dunking it underwater, you guys will probably be pretty happy with this Busby. It's really good. I like it.
It's funny, man, because I'm going to have to take a look at this Wired to Fish. Was it a ranking of different ones or was it just on this one Busby box?
No, it was a whole bunch.
I'm going to have to take a look at it just to get a little inspiration. I'll
send you the link.
My soft plastic storage is fucking all over the place. There's two things. So Reaction Tackle makes these bait binders that I'm a big fan of. And I initially got into them primarily for bank fishing. I had this one sort of almost like it's like a trapper keeper, like a trifold, like trapper keeper type style. And inside it's got these, they're really heavy duty Ziploc bags. And actually I think it's a Velcro strip that holds them in. So you can swap them out or add them. There's some that are large size ones, big pockets that I could put, 5-inch, 6-inch baits in. And then there's other smaller ones that I use for like Ned baits, downsize like 3-inch, craws or helamites and things like that. And it's really nice to kind of keep things divided up. If you haven't put any other types of plastic in there, you can store Z-Man in these. I've stored them in there before, and it's nice. Just don't put other plastics in that one pouch. Like designate one for Z-Man. I then have I had ordered another binder that I specifically wanted for paddletail swim baits, various swim baits. So this is a larger binder with different types of pockets, but I've got everything from 7-inch paddletail Kitex all the way down to little 2-inch snacky swimmers. And I do that so that this way I can eliminate having to cram so many into that other bait binder. So I use both. I have one of them that carries, I have one pouch that's set up for stick baits. I have one pouch that's set up for more finesse worms. I have a pouch that's set up for craws, one that's set up for creatures. And then we get into like the Ned baits and the smaller stuff and everything else. This other one is just those paddle tails, just those. So I have a library I can go through. These aren't waterproof. And I like, water will get in them, but the boxes zip up pretty tight. The packets in between, like they're all right. This what do you call it? The swim bait one is a little bit different. It's got like more of a fabric background, so I think that the water just soaks in on those. But it's not too bad. Now I have a bunch of like other random bulk plastics, things that I haven't checked off as like always gonna carry. Things that I'm trying, things that I maybe only have one pack of, or things that don't necessarily fit clean cut into the categories I've laid out. So in the past, I was using one of these Bass Mafia like money bags, the clear plastic with the zipper on top, but below that also a zipper to make it waterproof. So you have two levels of protection there. Now, a lot of people don't realize that there's the two zippers there and don't, set them and set it so it's waterproof. Water will 100% get in the actual mechanical zipper at the very, very top. But I've been using this for a long time, and what I would do is when I was traveling with it or anything, I just put it upside down, and it keeps everything dry in there. I just leave it upside down so that Those plastics are like that. And when I store it, I would store it in my kayak in the storage compartment that I have up front. So it was undercover. It was never an issue. I lost this thing because it wasn't secured on my kayak when I was leaving a body of water, and it sucked. God, I probably lost $300 in plastics. It sucked. And there's some great stuff in there too that I had gotten when I was at Chickamauga, and I will go through that. If I'm doing something like super specific, I'll be like, all right, let's go through this and set it up so I've got, things that I want to make sure I have on hand that I maybe don't always have on hand or something, like when we were at Chickamauga, there was a lot of shad stuff that I don't throw shad stuff up here, but I've got some stuff and I picked a few things up while I was at the Talk and Tackle. So I popped those in there and it worked out great. With that thing gone, you remember the Bassmaster magazine used to have an offer where if you subscribed, you got like a sticker pack, a hat, and this bag. It looked like a lunch bag, right?
Yep.
With the 2 zippers and the Velcro flap that would lay on there. And it's a perfect size for soft plastics. The problem is that the material degrades in the sun. And it takes a while. Like I've had this one, 2013, 2014, probably about 2014, 2015, something like that. And I mean, I've had it for a long time. It's just like, when it starts to degrade, you can see the thin spots where the fabric starts to kind of waffle away. And I'm like, this only has so much more time. I gotta figure it out. But again, like it never really sees the elements, and I keep all those plastics in their containers. So if it comes in like a clamshell style to keep them nice and straight, they stay right in there. So I pop all those in there, and then there's the under my seat because I have like random bags of plastics where I'm like, okay, I might give this a shot here, or I'm trying like that drop shot bait that you've been throwing. I only have 2 bags of those. I just store them right under there, so I've got quick access to them. But everything ends up in this other bag. So I'm looking to replace that Bassmaster bag. And I mean, is the Busby bag going to be the one? I don't know. I got to look around. I got to be totally honest with you. I am really thinking I might just pick up another money bag for the size and the ease of use. But I'm just going to make sure that I strap that fucker in as good as I possibly can.
Yep. Hey, for further information for people.
Yep.
The article I pulled that off of was Wired to Fish. It's under their buyer's guides, and it was written or it was published on August 29th. And it's called Best Fishing Bags and Tackle Backpacks. Bobby, I'll send you the link.
Yeah. Let me know. I'll check that out.
Check that out. Can't hurt.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I found stuff that works, and I've found others that I'm just like, It's the bulk plastics. You know what I mean? All that extra bulk stuff. And then I think I'm just going to buy a tote box for those random plastics that I'm like, all right, I got whatever it is that I collect all like in the winter. Yep. And I'll make some bundles within there, but I can say like, oh, these are all worms. Boom. These are all craws. Something like that. Fool around with that. We'll fuck around. We'll find out. We'll find the fuck out. Let's see. We already did tourney time. I think we're good for this segment.
We kicked ass.
I think we're fucking pretty solid.
The only other thing I'd like to mention, Big E wrapped up. I did 2 nights ago. I should have mentioned this in my week. Yep. I did 2 nights ago just because it was so fucking packed. This weekend, the Big E was beyond packed. Like I was wading through people.
Yeah.
I did get to hang out with Nor'easter for about 2 hours, so it was good to talk with John and Jim and Mary Lou. So we'll see them at the latest. We'll see them at the Springfield Sportsman Show. I think they have a booth there. So yeah, good time hanging with some good people, and got to get them to know them a little more. It was awesome.
I love that. That's fucking great. Sweet. All right, so let's take a quick break, guys. We will be back. So you're going to hear from myself and who the fuck is actually Joe Brown. In this next segment, we talk with Josh Cotier, and you're not going to want to miss it, guys. It's a good conversation. We'll be on the back end with that to wrap this show up. Don't go too far. We'll see you in a bit. Hey guys, Bobby Roast Beef here from Jigs and Bigs. If there's one thing I can't stand spending money on, it's on something that's not versatile, something that I can't get a lot of use out of. I want to talk to you about Frost Buddy. what Frost Buddy is it's one of those can coolers. I've seen these before. In fact, I have some that are limited to only fitting one specific size of can, like a standard 12-ounce can. I stumbled onto Frost Buddy, and I was blown away with it. So versatile. Fits standard cans, tall cans, slim cans, and even 12-ounce bottles. And the magic is the insert fits all of these items in various stages within the insert. And when you take that out, you can fit a full 16-ounce tall boy can. In fact, it even doubles down on being versatile with the coffee lid. And on my recent trip to Chickamauga, I had a field day with this thing. I was throwing beer cans in it. I'd have coffee in the morning. On the drive, I was throwing in all different sizes of cans for different canned coffee products to keep me awake on the long drive back. The thing was amazing. So I recommend you check out Frost Buddy. If you're in the market for either a travel cup for your coffee or a can cooler at all, either one of those, check it out. For the money, you cannot go wrong. What I've done is this. In the show notes for this podcast you're listening to right now, if you look there, you'll find a link to Frost Buddy where you can get yours. And not only can you go and get your Frost Buddy there, but you can help out the show as well. Go and visit that link in the show notes to this podcast. Check out a Frost Buddy. Tons of colors, tons of patterns, all kinds of great stuff. And it's a great spot to put your Jigs and Bigs sticker too. Take it from me, Bobby Roast Beef. You're going to get the most versatility out of this one product, probably out of anything you're ever going to buy, especially for anything that you're drinking. Frost Buddy. It works for me. I'm a happy guy. Jigs and Bigs is your favorite fishing podcast, right? Why not show the world how much you love the show while directly supporting us? We have men's and ladies' shirts, hoodies, and a variety of hats. We even have a waterproof outdoor Bluetooth speaker so you can listen to your favorite podcast while out on the water if you like. Check out jigsandbigs.com/shop to visit the store and gear yourself up. If you really can't get enough of this show, consider becoming a jighead and joining our Patreon. It's a subscription that gives you exclusive access to recording sessions that allow you to engage with us as we record the show. We also have some exclusive content there just for our jigheads and even have some special promo codes. Space is limited, so join now at jigsandbigs.com. Finally, if you're local to our area in Western Massachusetts, consider checking out the Western Mass Fishing Report, posted weekly at northeastwildwoman.com. We have amazing contributors providing great content and info for local conditions and what's been going on and working recently. Jigs and Bigs, so much more than just two lightly roasted hippies trapped in the 90s arguing on the internet about fishing. All right, everybody. Bobby Roast Beef here. Like I said, I've been on a roll with interviews. We have a great one right now. I have two folks with me in this. I have Joe Brown in the house.
What's up? What's up?
Joe Brown in the house. We have Josh Cotier with us. And Joe, you've competed against Josh for a little while.
Yeah, I have. I competed against them all season, yeah.
Why don't you kind of do the intro of, like, Josh's accolades, like how you guys know each other and all that stuff so that we can get to know him?
All right, so Josh and I, we both fish Division 36 American Bass Anglers. Josh actually just got the Angler of the Year for this year.
That's freaking awesome.
It's only because I missed a couple tournaments.
You did him a favor.
Right, Josh? So Josh and I hit it off pretty good. We were very much alike, so every tournament we're chatting, whatever. So our last tournament actually was the story I told you when we were ripping. We had to rip down from New Hampshire to make the weigh-in. Josh was the boat that was next to me.
Yeah, you guys had that shared moment looking at each other like, oh, shit.
So, trying to get through all the wreck boats and whatnot. But, he's a phenomenal angler. He's the real deal.
That's awesome, man. Well, congratulations on the Angler of the Year. That is absolutely amazing and fantastic. Let's go ahead. We'll dive right in, man. Let's get to know you as far as your fishing style. Let's talk about how you first got into the outdoors, period, let alone just fishing. And then kind of like walk us through, like, where did the bug bite for competitive fishing? And, to kind of walk us through the whole story, how we got to where we are right now.
That's hard to pin down. I've honestly just I've been fishing as long as I can remember. My grandmother, rest her soul, she had a camp on Lake Champlain as long as I can remember, man. And there's pictures of me just fishing in the dock when I was 4 or 5 years old. So, I mean, I don't think there was ever a point there wasn't a fishing rod in my hand.
That's awesome, man. Like, so essentially, like, as long as you were able to hold a rod, you were out there. That's great.
Oh, yeah, we've been bassing full time since day one.
That's awesome. Now, when did the competition kind of strike? Like, when did that get interesting to you?
I would say we're on year 10 of formal competition. Some of it kind of started with like crawdad, John boat fishing in smaller lakes in Massachusetts, and then I was like, fuck, I love this shit, boy.
I hear you, man. I hear you. It's funny. That's the thing about fishing. Like I always say, fishing is two really interesting sort of worlds coming together. Like it's one part science, it's one part art, but also the fisherman is interesting as well because there's folks that are just like they gotta compete. Like they want to up those stakes as much as possible, and then you've got guys that just they for them it's just about like escaping and getting out into nature and having a good time, and that's what's so cool about it. And everybody who's involved is it can be all of those things, you know, at different points in everybody's life. It's really, really fantastic. Let's talk about your style of fishing. What do you generally, you know, let's start confidence baits actually. What's your short list of confidence baits? Like when you need to get it done, what are you throwing to get it done?
I mean, obviously it's different on the fishery, but I'd say, I mean, if I didn't practice and you put me on anywhere in the country, there's going to be a low magnum, half ounce on the boat, flipping, 3/8 magnum for skipping, probably a drop shot, and Senko, man. I mean, I can get it done with those 4 rods probably anywhere just because of the confidence, you know?
Absolutely, man. That's awesome. You know, and
if the wind blows, I will jerk off and throw in a buzzbait.
Sure. You got to do what you got to do, man. I love a buzzbait. Sometimes I'm guilty of trying to force a buzzbait bite, but yeah, I love a buzzbait.
I can't stand them. I can't get confident with them.
No.
Cannot get confident. Really? I always have one tied on, and I'm just like, I'd rather like throw a fucking whopper plopper or something.
It's funny. Go ahead, Josh.
Oh, sorry, I was going to say, when Joe gets a Hartwell, we're going to show him how to tune up a buzzbait, get back in the threadfin shad crates.
Yes, please.
Hang a couple from your mirrors on the drive down. They'll get good and squeaky. Yeah, definitely. So that's a mission. So, no, that's awesome. I was going to say, I like to throw a buzzbait sometimes, like, just to find fish. You know, especially in shallow water, if I'm just trying to cover water fast just to find where they are, then I might go and say, like, okay, well, I know that there's fish over here. Let me throw something that's a little bit more subtle and try and get bit. But, yeah, just in doing that, I've kind of built a little bit more confidence with getting bit. But it's wild, man.
Dude, you're spot on because, I mean, fuck, you're just throwing that top water if you got the conditions. I mean, you get one bite in the area in practice, you probably fly through in, you know, a tournament and, you know, settle down and fish slower and get a few bites, you know?
Yep, exactly. Just play the odds. So let's talk as far as now. You're a Mass native? Are you from New England originally, or you start off somewhere else in the country?
I've been in Mass since high school. I was actually born in Maine, in Brunswick. It's completely closed down now, but I was born on a naval base in Brunswick. Both my parents were in the Navy.
Gotcha.
And from there, I've been in Mass, Maryland, Virginia, Colorado. I grew up on the bases with them, and
you've been around.
Oh, yeah. I mean, life wasn't what it should have been back then, but I mean, we're doing what we're doing now. No. It's every day's a blessing, man. You won't find anyone happier than me.
Oh, hell yeah, man! I hear that. Let's talk. Let's get into some. Actually, you know, let's just take the dive. Why don't you hit me with like your 2 polar opposite stories? Like that one story of the catch that That's the story you're going to tell to somebody when they find out, oh, you fish? You know, like you're at an event at the bar or something, and, you know, they're like, oh, you fish, like that moment you're most proud of. Might be a PB, might be something wild, something like that. The one you're most proud of. And then the story where it all went to shit, where, like, you're just kind of, you know, like the biggest sort of want kind of moment.
I already got both of them right on the tip of my tongue. It's kind of crazy. I didn't think I would have that quick, but the second you said it all, I already
That's
got
awesome.
it. But let's start with the high point. This is a smaller TOC tournament champions in Massachusetts, and the guy just like posted this video on Facebook. So there's a sunken tree in like 20 feet, and just flipping a little mag in there. Got bit, and it literally set the hook, and it was just stuck. But it was on straight braid, and I literally started hand pulling the braid up, and I pulled a 20-foot limb. Like, it was like 23 feet long off the bottom with a 4-pounder in it, like a whole pine limb to the boat, and like got my hand on the fish, had to cut the line to get the jig out because it swam through it.
Oh, it's buried.
But I looked up, and like some guy was on his dock filming the whole time. So, I mean, it wasn't a major tournament, but that was like one of those times where it's just like, you're hard dicking.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
And my downfall would be Lake Pickwick in Alabama. They won a tournament. I ended in 7th, and I literally lost my 5 biggest fish. I jumped off 2 that were easily over 7, and like another couple 4 and 5s, and like I was still in 7th after day 1, and then day 2, I freaking same fucking thing, man. I mean, spinnerbait a ton up here, but I mean, shit, it's just feel the bite, set the hook, and I still had a top 10 at Nationals that year. It's kind of got me in the boat I'm in now, and made me some really great connections.
That's awesome.
That same tournament, maybe my best friend Blake Sylvester from Louisiana. God bless that motherfucker. But yeah, it was just one of those things that could have been. I mean, when you're for sure top 3, that puts you in the classic or, you know, the elite series if you finish first. It's just, you literally know you left more weight on the water than you actually put on the scale. That stuff doesn't get to me because, I mean, this sport's negligent. You know, you lose one, you win the sport. But that one, I have nightmares about it still.
No, it makes sense, man. That makes sense. That's the kind of thing that it'll stick around and it'll haunt you, you know?
Oh, dude, all the fucking time.
Let's get into, well, actually, you know, this is actually something that we've only been really kind of talking about this year, is forward-facing sonar. You know, and in the tournament world, it's you know, it's people say like you gotta have it. You know, like you just gotta have it. And there's a lot.
John Cox that.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. You know, and it's funny. I just saw a video, and we're going to be talking about it in this episode coming up this week. Kyle Welcher put out a video recently, and what he did was he was out, you know, just taking his boat out fishing, and he gets to the ramp, and there's this guy kind of giving him a hard time about the electronics on his boat, and like, oh yeah, I'd definitely fish, you know, outfish you, you know, even with all those electronics. That's if I had all that, I could definitely go and win tournaments. Absolutely, it's that easy. And you're looking at this guy, and he's like, you know, he's throwing a spin caster and he's holding it upside down. You know, and when I saw that, I was like, I think this is fake. I really do. And it come to find out it was. So what Kyle had said, he goes, hey, listen, man, I'll tell you what, you can take my boat. I'm going to run back to my house and grab my other boat, my small boat, my crappie boat, I think. And he goes, very bare bones boat. I'll take that out and we'll go out for 2 hours and we'll see who can catch the best five fish bag. You know, we'll see what happens. And there's this video. They put a GoPro on the other boat, and the guy's doing all this stuff, and it's just an absolute mess. I think he caught like 2 tiny dinks, and, you know, Kyle managed to put like a full bag together. But at the end, he said something, and I was like, man, I'm like, he said something I thought was really great. He goes, you know, it's not that easy. It's not just having this stuff. You have to put the time in to know what you're doing with it and everything else. And I'll tell you, like, if there's a guy that can kind of drive that point home, I think it's a guy like that that's at that level, that has the boats to be able to say, oh, all right, go ahead. Put your money where your mouth is. We'll make a friendly bet, you know. and we'll go and do this, and then
absolutely.
make people see it, because you see people that are just so up in arms about the technology. And, I mean, I hate to say it, maybe it's an age thing. I'm older than both of you guys, and I'm saying that. Like, maybe,
how old are you, B? How old are you, B?
I just turned 46.
There you go. You're the perfect time. You're wise, and you know what you want, but you're still active.
Exactly, and I can dial into technology a little bit, though every year it seems to confuse me a little bit more and more. So I understand where that generation is kind of like, get off my lawn type thing when it comes to different technology. Where do you weigh in? Like, how do you feel about forward-facing sonar, like your own skill set with it, all that stuff, as well as like...
I would... Sorry, go ahead, Bobby.
I was just going to say, as well as like how it kind of fits into the whole game plan.
It's there, man, and I have a power switch in my side rod walker, so I can just shut my box on and off, so it's not clicking. It's there. You need it. There's times you do need it. If it was up to me, there'd be none of it in fishing. But that's just me. I think I could compete better as an angler without it.
Yeah.
But I'm also just not a complainer or a fucking whiner, so it's like I've gotten good with it, and I've intentionally spent a lot of time staring at this. I literally intentionally pushed forward-facing sonar away from me for a few years. The first time I ever used it was on actually Lake Hartwell, our nationals this year. 7 years ago now, a buddy of mine from Florida was out there running that and showing me how it works with schoolers on Hartwell, and I was like, that's badass. But what I intentionally did was I didn't get in the boat with anyone to look at it. I'm very, very comfortable electronics, so I waited till I got my own, and I've caught a lot of fish on it the last few years that have made me money and helped me out. But I mean, I'll be the first person to tell you, if they want to get rid of it, I'm all for it, just because I think as a person who's more ample to it being timing and decision making and strategy, I think I would be better off. But I'm not a woman. I'm just not going to complain. I'm not going to bitch, dude. It's on my boat because there's times I use it and it helps so much. I mean, I would say even at our 2 weekends ago, where me and Joe was at, and I completely burned out my impeller and water pump on my boat to get up to the dam, but it was just like kind of crazy because I caught a 3-ton smallmouth, which is like basically unheard of there, and a couple other smallmouth that were a good class, but like they're really schooled up on walleyes at the outflow of a dam where most people don't run up to, and like I could just see them, and I was like, I would put the bait on the nose of the fish every single cast, and I mean, and you still get like less than 20 casts, and same thing when I've been on Champlain this year, man. It's like I'll see 40 fish, and I know they're all 3.5 pound plus smallmouth, and you can really watch the bait falling on your scope, hit them, and stall when it hits them, and drop down. And like in a school of 30 of them, they don't eat it. So I mean, if anything, seeing them made me more frustrated. But at the same time, it just opened my eyes up to like there is way more fish on the stuff that you're fishing most of the time than you fucking think.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing. I think that it's like what forward-facing sonar really does, and like as myself, not being a competitive angler, that's a lot of money to like put down to just know, where these fish are stacking up in this area. But at the same time, it can tell you so much about the fishery, and you can really start to learn and debunk some myths, I think more than anything, regardless of if you're actually like video game fishing, like a lot of people talk about. And I feel like, my opinion, and I don't know, let me know if you feel the same way too, Josh, like a lot of people think that forward-facing sonar is a one-trick pony. You go, you spot those fish, you throw a drop shot or a jerk bait or a swim bait, you catch that fish and you move on. And I feel like it's not that video game fishing all the time. Shawn the fisherman is using it in a completely different way. When he was using it, it was basically just to like scan in an area, or he's using it, he's actually kind of using it up against like weed beds and stuff. Like walls of weeds to see what's up against this one area. It's just crazy.
That's spot on. And once I will say I have active target Lowrance version on mine.
Yep.
Next year I'm going to switch to Garmin just because it's just so much clearer. But I will say with Lowrance, it's the same way on the side scan. I can see fish through vegetation on my active target and my side scan with Lowrance. I don't know if you get that as much with the other brands, but either way, I will be running Garmin on the boat next year just because it's just clear. It's better, man. Last year at regionals on the St. Lawrence, running around those guys and Canadian boys, freaking my boy Danny McGarry. Cooper Gallant's a fucking man, dude. I fucking love that fucking guy. But they kind of just showed me how it looks on the screen. And I mean, I feel like when you're in your boat looking at something on active target, and you get in another boat and look at theirs on Panoptics, and you're like, well, we're looking at the same thing, and it looks night and day, man. It really is. But I would say I've been very, very wary of it also bringing my fishing down, because I know people, like, I'm not going to say names, but, like, I know people that literally, like, that forward fishing sonar brought their game down because they're so glued to it that, like, they don't realize that if they just turned it off, they'd catch more fish because they're so glued to it. And that can come from, I mean, not being as efficient with it. Who knows? I mean, we're all different, but that's why I run a switch right in my rod locker right there, because, like, I just shut it off when it's time and shit's going south or time around it. Like, I just shut it off, so I feel like I have a really good medium on. Like, when I'm using it, I'm locked in on it, and when it's done, I'm not fucking with it. And I will say, on top of that, we were saying, like, finding weed edges and stuff. If I'm running down a bake, like a full cast, and I'm not, like, flipping or skipping or something like that, close quarters, I leave my turret pointed at a 45-degree angle off the front of the boat, and I can't tell you how many times I've just seen, like, a rock or a piece of wood, and I'd be fishing the bank, but I just see something on the FFS, and I literally just whip a jig at it and, like, catch my biggest fish of the day. So, I mean, it's also one of those things where, like, I'm fishing down a bank, and I don't look at it all the time while I'm fishing. I just keep looking at it, see if I see something. And I've actually, I didn't even talk to Joe about this as well, but at the Connecticut River, when I came down Barton's Cove on day one, I was literally just, like, fishing a bank with laydowns. I ran down, and there was still 12 minutes left of the tournament, and I literally look at the scope, and there's a sunken, like, it's like an 18-foot, it must have been like a bass track. It's like an 18-foot one. It's like, ain't no way. And I whip a drop shot off it and kept a 3-pounder.
No shit. That's not bad.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
It's crazy. The one thing I will say, it's crazy how many sunken, like, boats and skiffs and all that you see when you're running that stuff. Or if you're some of these places you're running, the side scan and whatnot. It's kind of gnarly. I mean, I'm sure.
Speaking of South Pond right by you, buddy.
I was just going to say South Pond.
20-something sunken boats there.
I was just going to say South Pond.
Dude, I have probably 28 boats sunken in that place on my grass.
Yeah, it's gnarly.
Holy shit.
Yeah, there's a ton in there.
That's wild, man, because, like, I would never know. And I'm just getting...
It's tiny, RB, too. It's tiny. Like, this place ain't that big. We had to go under a bridge to get in there when we fished Quabog. So, like, the fact there's that many boats in there just goes to show there's a bunch of nerds who can't drive.
Oh, for sure. That's wild.
And it's almost a perfect circle, except for the back there. It's like, the deepest parts, I mean, it drops off. I mean, it's like, what? The average is probably what, Josh? Like 25, 30 feet in that place?
Yeah, and that first bank, but there's actually 80 feet of water in there, which is crazy.
Yep.
Those fish wouldn't eat, though. It's like, it's nice because it's connected to Quabog, and Joe knows the setup, so it's going to make more sense to him than you, RB.
Sure.
But, like, there's alewites in there, and, like, they're suspended offshore, and it's pelagic fish, but, like, in the summer they pull on that, but the place isn't big, so it's like you just find the school bait, you can catch some fish, but it wasn't like that last weekend when I fished a tournament there, so it was like, it sketched me out, and then I get uncomfortable, and when fish don't do what they're supposed to do, then I get nervous.
Mm-hmm. That's one place I have not fished much, the South Pond.
Yeah, you never really got on.
I never really got on. And you know what? There's no good reason. I should just, maybe this week I'll take the kayak over there.
Yeah, there's just so many different... The one thing I will say, if you're putting on forward-facing sonar for the first time in your boat, South Pond's a place to go.
Yeah.
It's wild what you see in that place on forward facing with all the trout and
you think a lot of the fish you see on graph would be bass or trout. There's so many pickerel in there, just like suspended pelagic offshore that I'm like, okay. Like I saw one, it would chase my drop shot down, ate it, and set the hook. I was like, fucking finally. And it's like 4.5 pound pickerel. And I actually think I kicked the dash on my console.
And I think we've talked about this on the show in the past, but people think that the state record pike came from Quabog. It actually came from South Pond through the ice.
The state record,
yeah,
really?
The state record came through
through
South Pond through the ice.
Fun fact, I was there that day.
Really?
Yeah.
That's wild.
No kidding.
So it got caught in the winter, but it didn't get caught through the ice.
Oh, really?
No shit. I did not know that.
Yeah. So like it got registered in like January, like early February or what it is. But I was literally walking in that day, like midday. This is way back, obviously. But dude, that motherfucker caught on a muskie bait right off the bridge, fishing off land.
No
shit. In the middle of winter.
Interesting.
Yeah,
I did not know that.
So I mean, it's the same place, same deal, but like most people figure you can caught through the ice, but this dude literally showed up in like a Toyota Corolla and whipped out like a crazy rabbit for a muskie bait and went and go and cracked this thing.
So the guy used to come to my shop. I'm pretty sure he still drove that same Toyota Corolla.
Oh, really? It's lucky I wouldn't get rid of it. No freaking
You couldn't miss this guy. It's got to be the same motherfucker.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
That's wild, man. That is freaking nuts. And that's the thing, like, Joe, with you having the shop, all of these folks that you see, the regulars, like, you must, I mean, there must be, like, a bunch of bullshit stories, but then you get something like that. That's pretty fucking good.
Yeah.
What is the record? Because, like, I mean, I know there's some giants that come out of...
I don't remember off the top of my head, but, I mean, it's up there. It's gonna take a big one to to overtake it. I mean, it's been what, Josh?
Are you talking pike or bass?
Pike.
I'll look it up right now, boys.
I think I want to say. I mean, I see people who catch 40s out of the Connecticut River.
Yeah, it was
pretty routine. 40s, yeah.
Them boys are gassing them. Fuck.
Yeah, it's. Connecticut River, that's another craze. Such a place. It's just wild.
It is. It's insane. It's insane.
You ever fish the Haddam Meadow section, which is the last section before the ocean? It's tidal.
Oh no, I haven't.
I haven't either.
Yeah.
That place is wild. I only think of it. We fished there this year for the Reynolds tournament. And speaking of pike, I mean, shit, I must have gave him $50, if not $60, worth of fucking jackhammers.
Jesus. Oh, I'm sure it's insane. Josh, what is your favorite species to fish for after bass?
After bass?
Yeah.
Oof. Wow, that's it has to be saltwater, man. Because before I got into tournaments, I actually used to fish with my buddy doing commercial fishing for stripers and tuna. So,
oh, no kidding.
If I'm not bass fishing, I would just love to have time and prime time to go out and tuna fish, striper fish.
Yeah.
I actually had a tournament for my club at the end of this year on the Cape with Sandro Mancini. He does like the whole like a tuna thing or whatever, but it's like he tuna fishes and he's like begging to go bass fishing, and I bass fish and I'm begging to go tuna fishing. It's like, I mean, it's like anything, man. I mean, you get sick of fucking anything.
Oh,
same girl, same boat, same whatever.
Yep. You start doing the same old thing. It gets to be a routine, and you're just like, we'll mix it up with something. It's wild. Like, one of my friends, Todd Grubb. He is, he embodies a non-competitive hardcore angler. And
why do I know that name, RB?
Oh, he's a YouTuber, Fishing Grubs.
I don't watch YouTube at all. I just know the name. But either way, go on, buddy.
He's a local guy. He's was back and forth between Mass and New Hampshire, and then now he's in Rhode Island. But he started working
God bless him.
on like party boats, doing like trophy tog trips and all kinds of stuff. And then he recently got into tuna. He's caught a number of giants, and I mean, the salt. It's like there's a big separation between freshwater fishing and saltwater fishing, but he made the transition over to being like a pretty well-rounded carp angler, and like really into like, I mean, just the idea of catching like a 30 to 50 pound freshwater fish is definitely
crazy.
It's insane,
It's funny because last time we were at Champlain, my buddy Cam Chase is co-angler up at the Reynolds team tournament up there.
Yep.
He's a carp fisherman. He has this wicked tent because he carp fishes like overnight.
Oh yeah.
But he's like, he has one bass fishing rod, one single bass fishing rod, and he caught the biggest fish for both of them that day. And they literally threw an ear off the pop that day and called me. And he was like, right when he called me, this kid caught the fish. He meant it. It was like he literally carp fishes. Those motherfuckers are crazy.
Yeah. Oh yeah. They are. My God, man, that is.
Where are you guys specifically right now?
We are. So right now we're in Connecticut. We're at Camp Hookset on Gardner Lake.
Ain't no way.
Yeah.
Yeah, Salem, Connecticut. Every year, the Hookset Hoodlums put on an event for all pro staff and anyone who's affiliated and whatnot. And this year we did it here.
Yeah. So that's why, like, the listeners, if you're hearing like people in the background, it's like we have a bunch of guys crushing beers right behind us, right behind the truck. It's freaking nuts.
It's no worries, man. I can't hear them over the voices in my head anyway.
Oh, yeah. There you go. So, Josh, I have a theory, right, that fishing is like and it's probably my favorite thing about fishing is the community, like that the camaraderie, regardless if it's like, after the tournament or something like that, sharing stories with the people you're competing with, or like I said, talking with Joe, like the stories at the shop, when you're going to buy a bunch of tackle and you're exchanging stories with other people, the expos, all these things, it's like a big family of anglers. Now, the cool thing about fishing is like it is a sport, it's a pastime, something you can enjoy definitely on your own, but going out and fishing with other people, I think, is the best situation for anything. I mean, if I could have all of my business meetings be fishing trips with, like clients of mine, I'd do it in a second. With that said, what would your top 3 list of people that you would love to fish with? And they can be living or dead. They could be famous. They could be people you actually know. It doesn't matter who they are, but what's your top 3 look like for that?
Can I ask you one more question?
Absolutely.
Would it be me running the boat or them running the boat?
It could be either. So if you wanted to give me 2 lists, like on your boat, people you want to bring on, and then people whose boat you want to be on, you could do that too. Totally up to you.
Okay, perfect. Give me a 1, 2, 3 think about this, and I'll hit you.
Yeah, no sweat. Take your time. I always go back and edit these anyway.
I would love to fish with Charlie Ingram again. I got paired up with him as a co-angler at the James River in Virginia.
Yep.
He's a old elite guy. And he's got a hard dick, hard-nosed reputation. And, I mean, this is later on in his career, but like when he caught his first fish, I grabbed it for him, put his live well, and like I told him I'd do his culling for him because his mobility wasn't his, top suit for sure. But I would love to fish with that guy again, like on a real fishery, like get down on like Tennessee, like on the places I would love to be in the back of that guy's boat on his home lake. So I'm gonna go with Charlie Ingram right off the bat, number 1.
That's awesome.
Number 2, I'm gonna say in the back of KVD's boat because I mean that's the fucking goat, right? There's no questions asked whatsoever. I mean, if anyone says he's not the best ever, just come see me. I'll straighten you out.
Yeah.
So yeah,
he's the Jordan.
I would love to just like go out. He's what?
He's the Jordan of fishing.
Yeah. And beyond it too, dude. Because if you look, I mean, fishing's the losingest sport in the entire world, man. Like if you look at KVD's winning percentages and how much he actually won, and he's the best to ever do it, I'm pretty sure it's like still under 40%. I think it was when I don't know, I heard on like BTL or something a year ago. But that being said, it's just like he's and I think without forward-facing sonar and all that, I mean, a lot of guys used to cheat with info back then, from what I hear. But that's number 2. Number 3, tough fighter. But I'd want to fish a half day on the lag, so then on the other half of the day, go shoot greenheads out the fucking sky.
Hell yeah. That's the jam. Seth is great. He's great. Like, such a personality. And I feel like elite fishing needs that. You know? Like, you need anglers that, like, the fans of these anglers can get fired. Like, it's like, I think you nailed it there when you said fishing is the losingest sport. Because even when you're great, you've got to take a ton of hits. You know? Like, there's a lot.
It's all mental, man. It really fucking is.
It totally is. So it's like, you know, I feel like, you know, if you have like folks that just like, you hear people all the time that talk about anglers that they're like, oh yeah, this dude's my favorite. You know, like a lot of people, G-Man comes up a lot.
Slackliner.
Yeah. And like, you know, that comes up all the time, but like, you need to have like personality so people get fired up about this, because I think that you're right, it's mental, and I think that kind of can help an angler a little bit, you know, when they know that they've got people that are just like, yeah, it's wild. It's wild. It's so funny.
That's what people think I'm crazy when I'm ripping snow and salts in the boat before takeoff.
Yep.
Just get ready for the next hockey ship.
Oh my goodness, man, that is freaking bananas, dude. Unbelievable. So let's say this, like where you're at right now. Let's say you go out, you know, you're fishing, and maybe it's a shit day, right? And you want to go drown your sorrows in something delicious, right? Or maybe you know you're out pre-fishing or something. You get, you know, it's going great. You got confidence up the wazoo for this next tournament, and you want to kind of go celebrate a success. What is the restaurant that you're going to you know get your grub on after either a great day or a terrible day of fishing?
Oh, dude, you'd probably catch me with some tri-tip sent in from the Midwest and just really cooking it on a fire down by the pond by my place. That's probably the deal. Other than that, I'm a big fan of sushi, but I don't like fish, like cooked fish.
I'm the same exact way. I'm the same exact way. Yep. I will eat sushi like crazy. You cook a haddock or cod or something, put it in front of me, I ain't eating it.
No kidding. Yeah. I mean, it's definitely
no, exactly, no desire. But I spend a lot more money than I like to admit on oysters every year.
Oh, I do love oysters.
Yeah, oysters are pretty great. How do you prefer them? You go raw with your oysters, or I mean, I'm a big fried oyster guy. Like a fried oyster.
I crack them so delicately to keep all the salt water in them I can.
Oh yeah.
Give it to me.
Yep. Fair enough.
I like them raw.
Actually, speaking of fried oysters, when I was in Louisiana a couple of years ago, we went down to Venice with my buddy Dave Cavell. This motherfucker Tiny, he runs a restaurant there.
Yep.
Fucking A. He can cook anything. He runs a restaurant in Louisiana, right? We caught bass, redfish, everything you can imagine. And then the guy next door there, camp we were staying at, was an oyster farm. He just bundles it. We bought a whole bundle of oysters off him for $40. This motherfucker Tiny, he just gave everything to us every way it was possible. Oh my god.
That's
I'm thinking of the oysters now. He just went off. Yeah, just raw, deep fried, battered, deep fried. Oh,
I love it.
That guy's an animal.
I love it. I'm all about it. I'm all about it. Man, that's freaking awesome.
So Josh, so the one quick question I wanted to give you is, why don't you tell us, you know, being a tournament fisherman, you know, you do a ton of them, you travel all over the place doing it. So why don't you tell us, you know, which tournament series you're kind of involved when you compete in, and let's tell everybody about your rig and maybe the companies that you're affiliated with.
Yeah, this year was kind of, last year was just like, everything hit the fan for me. I tried to fish the Northern Division in the first term of the year. I blew my boat up on day 2. I just spun a hub and lost everything. So this year I decided with the ABA Nationals being on Hartwell, I was like, well, you can't fish that if you fish the Opens or anything like that. So I was like, I've never fished the ABA before and done that. And I was like, started looking into it. I'm like, well, this is really makes a lot of sense. No brainer, right? So I started fishing that, and that's how I met Joe. And I was like, dude, I'm having a great time fishing again, which is unlike me, you know? So I think fishing's in a weird spot right now. Like, I don't really know what to do next year. Like, I want to fish the Opens, or I might want to go fish something with MLF, but, like, I really don't know, because I feel like they're both changing by the day.
Yeah.
But, like, ABA has been awesome, and honestly, if you look at... Hold on, I'm going to crack this beer. If you look into... Like, Brian New, he comes out and wins his first Elite Series ever. He came off winning this Ray Scott Championship that Joe and I are going to qualifying for. So, like, that's what stimulated his career, and if you look down the line of it, there's a lot of big names that actually won that title and used that money to launch their career. So I'm just the type of guy, dude, where, like, I can't look at next year because I still really have a St. Lawrence event in my face next week, and Nationals on Hartwell, and I try to be like a racehorse, man, just tunnel vision and just focus on the next thing in front of me.
Yep. Yeah, that's kind of how you have to be. You know, prioritize, like, what is right next in line, and then move on to the next one when it's over.
Yeah, I'm busy outside of fishing, so it's like I don't have any choice.
I hear that.
So let's, Josh, let's tell everyone about the rig you run, because I love your rig. I admire it every time I see it. Tell us about that.
I run a Blazer 625 Pro Elite. I would never get rid of that hole. I'm probably going to put a new Yamaha on the back of it this year.
Yep.
Because the warranty is gone, but nothing's ever happened to thing. I put an impeller the other day, and they were laughing at me. There was a lot of sand in there or whatever. I guess that's not normal. But I love the boat. It turns like a motherfucker, dude. I mean, we are running up that river. It's nasty. It's awesome going head into big waves. It's not the best riding with it. Scungiello has a 650, and that thing does a little better with it, but he kind of said the same thing to me, but they're really good boats. It's nice. I like it. I mean, it's a really shallow draft. It's 1,700 pounds dry. I mean, put it wherever you want.
Yep. Yeah.
I mean, over beaver dams if you're willing.
Oh, yeah.
I've personally witnessed Josh putting that boat wherever the fuck he wants.
Yeah.
Watching him go up towards that dam that day. I took a hard. I hit the brakes real hard, and he just kept going.
Your boat has brakes?
It did that day.
That's amazing.
It did that day.
That's amazing. So, Josh, obviously you've done a lot of traveling. You've fished a lot of waters. Two-part question. Out of all the spots that you've fished already, what's your favorite body of water? And what is one that's, like, on your bucket list to fish, you know, in the future, like, that you just haven't had a chance to yet?
Absolutely. Bucket list would be the California Delta for sure, because, like, it's very, very tough.
Yep.
It's tidal, but there's megas. So, like, yeah. I like feeling success out of anything I do. So it's like I wouldn't want to, like, just go and get a guide on mega lake in Texas. Like, I'd rather put my own boat in the water or the California Delta and, like, fish for 5 days and learn the tide and try to catch a 10-pounder. Something like that, probably. Favorite place to fish? It used to be Champlain, and until this year it kind of burned me, and that was just my own fault. I just haven't been there in the last couple of years and hadn't realized how much it's changed. And even on a high water year, I thought a lot of the shit I used to fuck with would be good, and it just was not. So that was like kind of an ego thing where I thought I could just like go and do my own jams and didn't work out. It's normally Champlain, but I'll be honest with you, the time I've spent in the St. Lawrence the last couple of years has been minimal, but I'm really, really excited to get up there next week. And I got 4 days of practice, 2 days of tournament, and that's the #1 smallmouth fishery in the entire world. So, I mean, I mean, I plugged it in my GPS yesterday. I'm like, I live 5 hours and 12 minutes from like God's creation, and like it's really kind of mystifying me that I haven't spent more time there.
I hear that, man. I love Champlain. I've only ever fished it once, but it instilled something in me that was just like, this is an amazing. It was actually I was lucky. It was the best day of fishing I've ever had with my dad. It was just unbelievable. Like, and my dad's not a artificial lure type of angler. He's the kind of guy that's going to throw shiners or night crawlers and just kind of catch whatever. This man put on a clinic on the boat we were on. It was ridiculous. He's never fished with a Ned rig before.
No way.
Yeah, he threw one plastic. Yeah, unbelievable. I was like, you got to be kidding me. He was floored. He got home, I guess. He told my mom, he's like, I have never had a day of fishing at all like that. That was unbelievable. It was great. It was so good.
Speaking of Ontario, I'm looking at the extra bilge pump I'm making on my floor right now. Make a cigarette lighter, plug in one, and keep it under my feet. That way when I spear waves, I can just plug in the cigarette lighter.
Yep. Easy on, easy off. That's a good idea.
Yeah. Live once, die twice.
Yep. Yeah. I love it, man. Well, Josh, this was really, really, really fantastic, man. Why don't you do us a favor and just kind of shout out like some of the companies that you've been working with, anything like that, anybody that you're pro staffing for, and if listeners want to track you down and kind of, follow you a little bit on your journey, especially like with upcoming stuff like at Hartwell, why don't you go ahead and shout that out, let everybody know where they can find you.
Yeah, 100%. First things off is definitely has to be JCS Marine. He just keeps my boat and my shit in one fucking piece. He's a lowly descendant of God himself. My boy Kirk down at Cajun Hat Boys in Louisiana, they literally overnighted me parts for my water pump literally 2 days ago so I could get my boat back together to fish Ontario next week. Those motherfuckers down there, the Dust guys going. You can't make people that good. East Coast, Derek's a man. He's a dock heron. I call him a dock heron, but the water's been a different level this year, so he's fishing out of the boat, I guess, instead of his dock, but whatever. He's still a nerd, but he's a man. He hooks me up. Whenever I need baits, he fast ships with me. I get it. Other than that, just buck and bass. I mean, dude, it's expensive, but it's the only thing that's truly, truly dry in its lifetime warranty.
Yep.
That's it, man. I only fuck with the people who take care of me. I don't. Yeah. That's it.
These days, that's a good idea.
Hell yeah, man.
Hell yeah. I love it, Josh. Thanks so much for doing this, dude. I appreciate it. We're gonna be rooting for you on your next couple of tournaments for sure. Sorry, Joe.
I was gonna say. I was like, whoa.
Sorry, bud. You never know. You could be the dark horse.
Never know.
Could be the dark horse.
I could.
As long as I love it, man. Hey, you have a good one, dude. Thanks so much. If you could, do me a favor and either shoot me a DM or an email of just a picture of you just holding an absolute tank, and we'll use it for the artwork for this episode.
You're talking about a fish, right?
Yeah. Or whatever you're into, It's cold winters over here. We get bored. I love it, man.
You got it. Hey, anytime you need someone, give me a shout.
You're the best, dude. Thank you so much. You have a good one. Good luck.
Later, boys.
Take care.
See you, dude.
See ya. All right, everybody, we're back, wrapping things up for this week's Jigs and Bigs. My God, that was a good interview with Josh. Hoping that things go well for both him and Joe at Hartwell, and we'll see how that all plays out. That should be interesting. Joe is leaving this week. I think it's only like 5 or 6 days, and then he's heading down there. So it should be interesting. I think we're gonna have some fun little details. I know we talked about that following show, and we kind of have to wait and see how he is for cell service and all that. If we're gonna have him record remote from Hartwell, and if it's gonna be shitty, like maybe we can do a test when he gets down there. Maybe some night after trivia, I'll have him just call in and see how it is. And if it's really shitty, maybe what we'll do is we'll just have him call the hotline and leave a recap up until that point, something like that. Worst case scenario, but we're thinking about how Hartwell's gonna play out, and we'll see what happens. Shit, maybe he can pull Josh aside and we'll have a conversation down there, a recap, and see how it goes. Who knows? Should be interesting. I do have to say, Josh is Jigs and Bigs kind of folks, 100%. He had, after we were done this interview, he had sent over a picture of what he was working on at the time, which happened to be a shit ton of jigs and all that, but also some stuff that we have some passion for here on this show. And it's all good. We have ourselves a good time. Guys, you have until the end of this week to go ahead and join the Jigs and Bigs Multi-Species Scavenger Hunt monthly online tournament series. That's a fucking mouthful, but it's got to be, because it's not like any other type of competitive fishing that's out there. This is totally unique. Opportunity to win some money. You can win some great prizes as well. And we really want to see this kind of grow. So a lot of this week, I've been doing a lot of promotion for it. I'm glad that we're up to what we are for anglers. Get on in there, because this will be the last tournament for the year. And then we will see you guys next spring with another scavenger hunt for you to jump onto. So it should be pretty good. Big shout out to all those guys that have been tagging us in their fish picks. You've been getting on them and tagging Jigs and Bigs. We appreciate that. Of course, we're trying to do the like, share, comment thing as often as we're able to. Do me a favor, if you can. If you're gonna go and buy some Guggen snacky swimmers that I had suggested earlier, that I've just been killing it on with this multi-species stuff, go and order them online at GuggenSquad.com and use code Becca. Let's help our homegirl out, because she's got a new rig that she's got to get set up and going. So go ahead and do that. She's apparently a favorite now of the Jigs and Bigs listeners. Our most listened to episode is now one of the episodes that Becca was on from like last December.
She took it over, huh?
She's taking it over. Absolutely. It's just she's making it for herself. And I think that about really kind of does it. I don't really have a whole lot else going that's got to go out there. Oh, one thing I do want to mention, and this is regarding the 200th episode celebration, the game dinner that's coming up on January the 13th. Just a heads up for our jig heads, and this is important for you guys. We're doing ticket sales in stages. So there's not going to be a pre-sale. We're going to open it up, ticket sales exclusively to jig heads first. So they'll get the best opportunity to get their tickets and lock it down. We're probably going to give them about 2 weeks to go ahead and do it, and then we'll launch for the general public. Everybody else can go ahead and do that. And then day of tickets, if you're in Chicopee, Mass, and you're like, I want to show up day of, they'll be available there too, assuming that there are tickets available, because we are dealing with a limited number here. And both Shawn, the fisherman, who the fuck is Joe Brown, and myself, our families are going to be there and probably eating up some of those tickets. I also want to give a big shout out and a thank you to ABA Lure Lab. I did some promotion for the 200th episode, and just kind of getting it out there, folks, to save the date, like what's going on, things that we have in mind for it. And I figured I would tag Veterans Inc. in the post. And it offered me the opportunity to make the post a little bit of a fundraiser. So I did, and thanks to ABA Lure Lab, we hit that $100 donation that we were looking to collect like the first day. So wow. Thank you guys. I don't know if you're able to still go and donate, but I do. I want to accrue those funds there and add them to the donation that we're doing, because Veterans Inc. is the benefactor of this big show that's coming up. So this should be a whole lot of fun.
Bobby, let me jump in real quick, and I'll cover this more. This will be segment 1 next week. Let's lead with this, but I want to touch on it. Mm-hmm. When you and I discussed about doing a fundraiser, and you said, what charity should we do this for, and what nonprofit? I immediately said Veterans Inc. I worked for Veterans Inc. for 2 years. Yeah. I know what goes on there and where the funds go. Yep. And it's to helping, it's to helping veterans with issues, whether it's homelessness, whether it's addiction, even joblessness. Yeah. They get veterans back on their feet. And I cannot say enough for my former employer. One thing we should mention, though, never mind just our families and all the jig heads. This is involving the veterans community, which is fucking huge in Western Mass. Yeah, if you're planning on going to this, you get your tickets as soon as they go on sale.
Yep.
We do not have, this is not like a 500, 600, 700 person, 1,000 person event.
Yep.
I don't have a crystal ball, but I think this is going to sell out quickly. So
I
get
agree.
on top of it.
I'm toying with the idea also because I know that there are, we have some reaches this podcast. We have listeners in all sorts of parts of the country. I got a message this week about doing a wedding in South Dakota for a listener. And I'm like, fuck yeah, dude, I travel for all this stuff. I'm into it. But that's just kind of like, again, like that amazes me that we have the reach. I'm not expecting those listeners of the show to make a trip all the way out here. I think that's nuts. So the ones that do like travel for this stuff, I'm truly amazed by. But I am considering making a ticket that is we will include you in a specific raffle, and those funds will go and add to the charity. So maybe we'll have like a special giveaway or something that we can put together, and that this will be like an online exclusive type thing, or maybe we'll use Riffle Raffle and we could have a variety of prizes. We still have to figure out how the raffle is going to work, determine all the prizes and everything that we've got to throw in there. But it's gonna be freaking amazing and a shit ton of fun. So I'm really, really, really excited about it. This should be a blast. But pretty amazed that's going on, and amazing that we've already hit that goal of just starting it off with the donation. So I think that's huge. So again, big shout out to Chris from ABA. Chris and Christina are amazing. You're going to be hearing more about them because we are going to be working with a couple of brand new partners, and they're in the mix. And we're not just talking about custom baits here, guys. We're also talking about things that you can, utilize to diversify your experience or enhance your fishing experience. So we got all kinds of good stuff happening here, guys. I just got a question and text coming in from Zach at Dark Horse Tackle. So there will be tickets for everybody. Like Queen Beef has to buy a ticket because we need the accountability of all the heads that are in there. So we'll have that in there. Like I said, the jig heads are going to get first crack to get their tickets. The link will be in the Patreon with the jig head, so they'll get first crack to get their tickets. So technically, Zach, you're a jig head. You're going to have first crack to be able to access and get whatever tickets you guys need. So you'll be able to get them. And I'm hoping to have them available. Really, I want to have ticket sales start by Halloween is sort of my goal. Like we start like right around there. Boom. We just November, December, boom. We just roll right in. Too early, and people might waffle a little bit on if they're going to go, if they have to travel, these kind of things. And, I don't want it to get forgotten about. So I'm thinking around Halloween is going to be the time where like, bang, we're going to go, we're going to put it together. And it's enough time for people to be able to make whatever travel arrangements they have to make if they do. And I mean, I think locally it's going to be packed. It's going to be crazy town. I love it. Guys, that wraps this show up. Anything you want to close out on before we call it there, Shawn?
No, well, I will make sure to talk a little bit more about Veterans Inc. and what they do and how we can help them out next week. Probably shouldn't have left it till the end, but we fly by the seat of our asses sometime, meaning today. And it's true.
It's true.
Yeah, we'll talk about that more and get this primed.
I love it.
I'm good. No, get out there and catch the fish. Jump in on the new tournament, guys, if you want to. We think it's fun. Fish your favorite lakes. Fish wherever the fuck you want. I don't care.
Fish your face off. You know what I mean?
Fucking face off.
Do it. Make it happen, guys. If anybody's interested this week in maybe a kayak send or even a bank send, let's do it. I'm down. I don't know. This weekend I think might suck. I'm going to keep an eye to it's rough. And I have so many events coming up on the weekends. It's insane. This I think is like my last weekend off. No, I have an event this weekend. That's right.
Well, Bobby, if you want, I can fish Thursday. That's all I can tell you.
Yeah, I'm down for Thursday.
This is a mess.
I'm down for Thursday. I was hoping to kind of make it out today and put some of those other like just rando species, check them off the box. But Yeah, I don't know if today is going to happen. Tomorrow, probably, though. So hit a bitch up, guys. Thanks so much for listening. We appreciate you guys. You're absolutely amazing. Keep an ear to everything Jigs and Bigs so that you can be aware of anything that's changing, when tickets are available for the 200th show, when we have the giveaways and things for our October Multi-Species Tournament that's happening right now. All kinds of great stuff happening, guys. We'll see you when we see you. Like we always say.
Tits and ass, smokes and bread.